yo. Here they come. Here they come, yo. Here they come. Here they come, yo. Here they come. Here they come, yo. Here they come.
It's time for Shawn and Maya in the morning.
Quick pitch to Walter, looking for the record, cuts back, he's got it, he's out of it at 25 to the 26-yard line. Walter Payton becomes the National Football League all-time leading rusher. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship. Chicago has won the Stanley Cup. Palmero over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series. A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it, throw to Rizzo. It's in time. And the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Shawn and Maya in the morning on this Hump Day edition. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm your boy, the Superback, Shawn Sierra. Man, oh man, do we have a lot of news breaking this morning. And man, I can't wait to get into it. Now, listen, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, well, then I guess you found us on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, well, then I guess you found us on YouTube. Now, you want to? You can also tweet the show. You can tweet us at SM_mornings, or you can tweet us at SportsZone Shy. That's CHI at SM_mornings or at SportsZone Shy. Now, if you want to follow me, just me personally online, want to know what I did? Let me tell you what I did. Want to know what I did? Here's what I did. I made it nice and easy for you folks. Nice and easy. One handle for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the Snapper. All one handle at the Shawn Sierra. And you know what day today is? It's Wednesday. It's Hump Day, so you know what it is. Yeah, she's in the background. She's warming up. She's getting lathered up, ready to roll. She is my co-host, the co-pilot in this insanity, the one, the only, the loving, the incomparable Maya Kai. What up, Maya?
Hello, Chicago. I haven't done that in a minute.
We did that. We hadn't heard that in a minute.
Haven't heard that in a minute, right? Oh, I'm ready. There's so much to talk about, just in sports in general. But I'll tell you something. I realize how much I miss being at a baseball game. I mean, I already knew I missed it, but it really hit me like, a ton of bricks today. I'm working out, at my place, my new favorite place to work out. And what song comes on? Thunderstruck. And I was on the treadmill and I just kicked it into overdrive. I was like, yes. I was like, man, do I miss baseball right now. Seriously. They're going to get me next year. Seriously. Sox are going to get me next year at way more games. Seriously.
Maybe this was part of their vicious plan. They want to take it away. So when they bring it back, everyone's like, oh, I want more. Well,
you see, they're already like, get your 2021 tickets. they're already like, they can't focus on playoffs, but they're already pushing that towards you. I was like, should I just go? I usually do like the 10-pack because I usually make 10 games easily, but I'll probably do that like the minute like you can buy them. I'll probably end up doing it just because I'm like really missing being at baseball games. So
yeah, well, I go to 5 guaranteed every year with Hirsch and Hirsch outings. Mm-hmm. So I know, so that's a 5. So I may end up going to a few more next year, especially if things start panning out the way that they're looking, like the way they're going this year, and if they progress, man, I'll tell you what, it is. There's nothing like being at the ball game. And you know what? Here's what I have to say: everyone who's worried and complaining about baseball being too long, go kick dirt, dude. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with a baseball game. It's 3 hours of your day. Okay, maybe 5 if you're tailgating. All right, but there's nothing wrong with it. That's baseball. That's the game. It's not a fast game. It's not fast paced. That's the nature of that beast. Football is different. Basketball is different. Hockey's different. Each sport has their own pace, and there's nothing like sitting in there in the sun, having 1 or 2 or 10 beers, and and hot dogs and Italian sausages. 1 or 2, 10. Who knows? Somewhere in there.
Something in there, right?
The funnel cakes, the nachos, and the helmet. You know what I mean? It's an experience. Baseball is an experience, and this is why it's an American pastime. Like baseball, you get to chill. Like football games, you don't really chill because you're so amped up and things happen. Big hits, you jump up. Touchdowns, you jump up. But baseball, you jump up, for homers. And maybe with the White Sox, you might jump up like 6 or 8 times a game, but that's another story. But baseball is awesome, and it's fun. And I really can't wait. Just like you, mine, I think millions and millions of other people around the Chicagoland area can't wait till they come back so we can start flooding the ballpark again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes. No doubt.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't bring him up. I know he's working, but I just want to say what's up to our Wiz. All right, he's the man behind the curtain, our Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife himself, Ivan Vargas. Ivan, what's up, Papa?
Good morning, guys. What's up, Maya? Back again.
I'm back again. I'm back, and I'm back in the rotation for the week.
Yep. Tag team's back again. No, dude. Both teams, man. But all the teams. I kind of like this weekend because I know Maya, you weren't here on Monday to talk about the Bears, but like they just keep rolling, dude. The Sox and the Cubs. I mean, I hope the Bears keep it going this week, but we'll see. I got to get to work though.
All right, we'll bring you back on, man. So yeah, I am fired up. We have to get your take on the Bears. There were some very interesting conversations and thought processes going on Monday. So we'll get to you. We'll talk to you about the Bears in a little bit. But guys, we have a great show, but we need you to get interactive with us today. So here's what I need you to do. If you're watching us on Facebook Live or YouTube, you know what? Just do me a favor, do us a favor, and leave a question or comment right there in the post. I'm going to put it right up on the screen as long as it's not stupid. And we will use your comment in the show. Okay. we want you to be interactive. We want to be involved. We want you to be involved with our show. So, there it is. Sorry about that. I think it's something different. But listen, we do have a great show for you at 10 o'clock. You know, he's waiting in the wings. He's in the bullpen. He's ready to come in already. He's our man, Joe Phillips. He's going to come in and talk at the top of the morning segment. He's with the Chicago Crusader, and he's going to be with us at about 2 minutes. At 10 o'clock, Casey Boguslaw, our guy.
KC.
So Casey's going to call in. We're going to talk a little Sox and Cubs with Casey at 10 o'clock. 11 o'clock, our guy, Russell Baxter, the football historian from ProFootballGuru.com and PFGVibes.com as well. So call it. We're going to talk a little NFL action. We're going to talk Bears before him at 10:30, and I'll lead right into Bears and NFL discussion because there's a lot of topics. Ooh-wee. A lot of headlines going across the NFL, from Cam to Tom Terrific to a whole bunch to Adrian Peterson, the ageless one. Oh my goodness gracious, great balls of fire. He almost did us in, but thank God he didn't. So we have a lot of good conversation with Russell Baxter at 11 o'clock. Well, guys, you know how we do the first segment of every show. It's called Top of the Morning to You, and these are the hot topics of the night before. It's just some sports in general, and our Top of the Morning segment is sponsored by the Chicago Crusader. And with that, we bring in our man, the sports editor over there. He is a good friend of the program. You can find him on Twitter at ACA Joe. Bring in Joseph Phillips. What's up, Papa?
Good morning, Papa. God bless. How y'all doing?
Good. How you doing? You got a very ominous background. Like you're sinister, and you're plotting you're plotting something back there or something.
It's just a different angle shot.
Yeah, it is. I'm seeing the decorative pillow back there. We're getting a different view of the new digs. Checking it out. Okay.
Yeah, it's very 1950s. It's a Wonderful Life, Mr. Potter. Sitting in the chair, Old Man Potter.
Old Man Potter. All right. Okay.
Over George Bailey.
I can see you asking for demands in a second. My demands are $1 million.
Hey, you should borrow Joseph one of your cats so he can just sit there like that.
Right.
It's this new chair too. It's this chair too, man. So it got a Dr. Evil look to it.
Dr. Evil look to it. Right.
That was classic, Ivan. That was freaking classic. Oh man, how you doing, man? Everything good?
Oh, everything's gravy, man. That's my first time seeing a walk hit by a pitch walk-off win last night with the Cubs. So I was like, hey, we'll take it. Even though we gave up the lead, we were up 5-3. But I'm like, hey, it's the Cleveland Indians. It looks like we've been having their number since 2016 World Series. We don't fear Cleveland for some reason.
Let's get right into it. On top of the morning topic, I had the first one, and that got thrown for a loop. Well, I don't know, maybe 7-10 minutes ago when the news came through. The Big Ten. I was going to say the Big Ten might start football in October. Well, then the hammer came down. The Big Ten will start in October after unanimous decision. The Big Ten voted this morning. So October 24th the Big Ten football season starts again. I believe it's 8-game schedule in 9 weeks, and then they will still have the Big Ten championship game as well. Your thoughts, Maya, on the Big Ten returning to football in the fall?
I'm not surprised they made that decision because when you have all the other bigger conferences decided to still go through it, I guess it was like, let's just see how this pans out with, the SEC and other conferences that decided they were going to play ball. And thus far, it seems like it's gone off without, there's been a hiccup here and there, but generally speaking, there was a lot of pressure. Here's the one thing on What's Up Cuz on Monday night. They had on Napoleon Harris, who, is a former, Northwestern Wildcat. He was a Viking, so on and so forth. And they, kind of were saying, hey, what's your thoughts? Lobby on this, kind of put your influence there, because he's a senator in the 15th district in Illinois. And it was interesting because he flat out said, and I agree, we all knew that it was going to come back because it isn't so much, let's be honest, about the safety of these students. It's about all the money that's being left on the table. At the end of the day, did we really think the Big Ten was going to hold out like that and miss out on all those dollars, especially with TV dollars? No, they weren't. So to me, I'm not surprised by the decision. Yes, buckle up for safety, but there was no way they were going to leave that kind of money on the table. And like I said, they watched other conferences start and managed to pull it off. So there you go. It kind of made it easy. We were cautious, but other people did it, and now we came behind them. So they don't look like they made an awful decision when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I totally agree with Maya. When you think of the name Big Ten, the first thing that comes to your mind, okay, it's big. And then follow up with that word big. I just put it all together. They're too big to fail. Just like the banks, They're the cash cow of college football almost, them and the SEC and also the ACC. So, at the end of the day, if you're like one of the top brands in college football and you're a revenue generator, I don't think you're going to go down that easy. You see what I mean? And even if it's for the safety of the children, like I said, most of these conferences are too big to fail, and their bottom line is profit. It's not people. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that is the bottom line. It's profit. And you know what? The fact of the matter is that now only the Pac-12 is now the only conference that is not playing football. So my question is this: will they have a vote? Because they don't want to be left out. If the plan that they see with the Big Ten implemented 8 games in 9 weeks, I believe it is, they may be able to do the same thing, ratify it, and they won't lose as much. They'll be able to nip that in the bud and start gaining some revenue as well. I don't know. I just don't. I think it's going to be within the next week. The Pac-12 might just follow suit and say, hey, what the hell? All the other 4 of the Big 5 conferences are playing. Why not us? Why can't we get that money?
And let's be honest, when you talk about the Big 5 conferences, when you talk about the fact that they have the money, they have the possibilities to put safety precautions in place. Whereas smaller conferences, the mid-majors and the smaller conferences, they don't have the same access to the resources to be able to do the testing and do those other things. The big conferences do. We see all the kind of money that's being spent with the NFL and baseball for testing, how much money they spend on a daily basis to try to institute safety. Well, for colleges and the big conferences, they can have access to that money. And if they don't, I'm pretty sure somebody will give it to them, their boosters, you know what I'm saying, to make sure they can keep the students safe. It's just the smaller schools and mid-major schools that really can't do it. Now, when I think about Pac-10 or even Pac-12, from a standpoint of, I'm kind of thinking about their environmental situation right now for some of the schools. Obviously, with the wildfires and things like that, there's going to be some of those schools that are going to be impacted by that in regards to, even right now in professional sports, they're talking about air quality. So that might be an issue for some of those schools that are in those regions, how they figure that piece out. But beyond that, all the big conferences will follow suit and they will play because, like I said, it's revenue dollars outside of the NFL. Let's be honest, college football is a love affair across this country with many people.
And Shawn and Maya, can I add this to what you guys are saying? It gets even a little darker than that, okay? When it comes to those boosters, most of these players that you see, future NFL prospects, they're not playing for free, okay? pretty much the boosters are telling them, get out there and make that money because we made a way for you. Get out there and make that money so you can put yourself in a position to get drafted to pay us that money back. Most of that's how it goes. These are blue chip athletes, okay? It's a business. Like most people like college players need to get paid. They are getting paid. They get paid under the table. I tell most people that even when I was in college, I saw guys get money and stuff like that. My whole thing is it's nothing new. They know it's a business. The players know it's a business. The coaches know it's a business. And most of these guys aren't as honest as we think they are. And the darker side of that, it is a business. I think a lot of these players are getting paid, and they have to go out there and make that money up that finance them to get into the school. You see what I mean? So you look at it from that perspective, not trying to take shots at the Big Ten, but if you want the big time athletes, you got to pay the big bucks, and that's the truth.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I think that they make a heck of a lot more off the players than their $100,000, $150,000 tuition. I think they generate a heck of a lot more than that. So, but I do agree with you that many of them are getting paid. The one that comes to mind off the top of my head is Chris Webber, back in the Fab Five when he was very emotional talking about he couldn't get a pizza, and like, dude, you just got they gave you. They found out they gave you like $50,000-$70,000. Like, what kind of pizza you trying to get?
Okay, I'll be honest. When people say stupid shit like that, I get annoyed. I was like, well, you know what? Join the ranks of all other college students that can't always have a pizza, because we know the training tables and the meals that those athletes get are way better than the average student. I was like, Chris Webber, stop that. Shabazz, was it Shabazz Napier kind of made that same comment about not being able. I was like, well, welcome to being a college student. You're not an NBA star at this point. So if you can't afford everything that you want, that's real life. That's the real life of other college students. So when people start talking about stuff like that, I get annoyed. But that problem is about to be rectified, because once they're able to capitalize on their likeliness coming up in another season or so.
Yeah. So
that conversation will not be an issue. But I will tell you, it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a topic that we're going to have to explore. We're going to go in much deeper, but at another time. Well, the next top of the morning topic, the good guys. Sorry, Joe, if you want to sit out when you could. I don't mind. I don't want to force you into anything. But the good guys with a big victory over the Minnesota Twinkies yesterday, 6-2. And I'll tell you what, the good guys are 6 in a row. And now they are 3, count them, 1, 2, 3 games up in the Central over the. And here, you know what? Here's what I loved. Okay, Dane Dunning. I think he might be pretty good. He gets the win, 2-0, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 2 walks, 7. Count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 punch outs on 102 pitches. You know what? In watching, the post game yesterday with Ozzie and Frank, they both said, and we've said it on this show as well, that could be our number 3. When we get to the playoff round, that we don't have to worry about, because remember, we're the trade we were talking about, maybe going after Clevenger and getting a legit number 3. So wait a minute, we don't know what Dylan Cease and Dane Dunning can do. Give them a chance. And Dylan Cease has done very well, but he hasn't done it to the point of Dane Dunning. And Dane Dunning, a couple of times yesterday, he got key strikes in key situations, and for a rookie, like he had the poise of a 7 to 10 year vet yesterday against the team that hit 7,000 homers last year.
Hello, Dane, come on, seriously. I kept trying to tell everybody that Dane Dunning was the truth. I've been talking about this before they even brought him up, and when he was injured and had Tommy John, I was so bummed out. I kept telling people, this guy is going to be better. Seriously, he's better than Dylan Cease. And I'm not saying this to be, I'm not being a homer about Dane Dunning, but he's better than Dylan Cease, because Dylan Cease had starts last year and he still is working out the kinks. But here's what I like about Dane Dunning. They finally let him pitch longer innings. They didn't pull him too soon. The one thing you saw different in this pitching against the Twins, but I thought it was such a pivotal moment and it was important for him. He's usually a first strike pitcher. And he wasn't doing it. He was kind of changing his approach, which put him into more of a pitching range in his pitch count. But the difference was he had really pitched against softer teams in Detroit and the Pirates. So this was like him really being tested against a team that we know can hit. You know, the way that he pitched against Nelson Cruz, I was like, those are the kind of plate appearances that he needs, those matchups to really be able to be at that level. I kind of felt like McCann didn't have his best game per se. And Dane had a couple pitches. I'm like, you know what? I think it's not just that he's being outside of the zone. He's also trying to get pitchers the hitters to chase certain things. The kid is the truth. And the bottom line is that he's going to be higher in the rotation in the playoffs. I'm telling you, he's better than Dylan Cease. And I'm not just saying that to be mean. His poise, like you just said, you would think he's been pitching for like 2 years, 3 years. Him and Michael Kopech stepped on the mound with a certain command that they're not afraid to play at this level, and that's the first thing you need to have. We may be saying in less than a season that Dane Dunning is your ace and not Giolito. But mind you, this will make Giolito step up. Because, you know, anytime he feels challenged, like last night, Frank and Ozzy were just like, oh, my God. I was like, let his nuts go. That's not your job. Seriously. Giolito's going to be like, okay. He doesn't like when other people get more attention than he does. Let's see how he pitches.
Oh, Maya, always shading Gio, always shading Giolito, always. Leave my man alone. Let him throw a no-hitter in peace.
Look, I understand the psyche of Giolito, and I know I have to stoke the fire with him to get something out of him. So I know that I have to be the person to be like, you know what? He's really not an ace. He's only an ace because at the moment, and that might be questionable, there's no one pitching better than him. Well, that might be a different conversation.
Wow.
Yes, Maya loves Dane. Yes, she does.
Right.
Yes, she does. Yes.
Guys, well, didn't we all predict that this was going to happen? Like, this is the year. This is the year that I've been talking about from day one. The Sox are on their way to the World Series. And I'm not lying to you. When I said it, I really believe this because you guys y'all have all the pieces in place. You know, you got the little professor in Dane Dunning. You got Mr. No-hitter himself in Lucas Giolito. Then you got, you know, even though he played with the Houston Astros, you got the ace of the Houston Astros and Dallas Keuchel, you know, before Garrett Cole was there. So what I'm saying is that all the pieces are in place for you guys to see. Now you're rolling. You did fulfill some of the promises that was made in the beginning of the season that eventually you're going to return that favorite against the Minnesota Twins, which you guys did the last 2 days. So it's all in place for you guys. All you got to do is continue to execute, play with that confidence. And I know that y'all a lot of people believe in good luck and bad luck, but they don't want to mention the word World Series. But I'm going to keep saying it to this day. The Sox will probably be in the World Series once they're hitting and they're pitching, start believing in each other. Because it doesn't matter what other teams do. It just matters what you do. You see what I mean? At the end of the day. So keep doing well, Sox. You guys are looking good. And eventually you'll be in that World Series sooner or later.
I actually forgot about Dane Dunning's older brother, Jake Dunning. I had forgot. Remember, he was like back in I think he was drafted like 2010, maybe 2011, but it was by the Giants. But he was in the White Sox farm system after an injury. I forgot he had an older brother that played at the major league level. And I would like to believe having that type of tutelage is a big deal. And actually, they were together a little bit in the White Sox system. And that you cannot put a price tag on when you have someone who can help coach you at that level and mentor you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And understand the game. It gives you an insight into what your psyche needs to be like. You know what I mean? I totally forgot about Jake Dunning, who, by the way, is not as good as Dane is. But I forgot about his brother was a major league pitcher as well.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, but it definitely helps. You know, when the knowledge that you pass down from an older brother to younger brother is, you know, you talk about shortening the learning curve. That really helps out a lot. We're going to talk a little more baseball at the top of the hour, or at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock with Casey Boguslaw. We're going to talk both teams. The next top of the morning topic: the Cubs. The Cubs beat the Cleveland Cleveland Indians on Joseph Phillips' favorite. There it is. Joseph Phillips' favorite ending to a game, a walk-off hit by pitch.
Right.
And it was the Cubs are rolling. You know, and here's the thing, you Darvish, or who was on the mound yesterday? It was a seven hits. I'm sorry, 7 innings, 9 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 1 walk, and 7 punch outs for you. You know, not his best game, but still a quality game. And you're dealing with the Cleveland Indians. They're a team that's fighting for playoff position in this AL Central. So it wasn't like it was a team that's, you know, a bottom feeder. This is a team that's got a lot to play for, and you kind of went to work on these jokers with a quality start.
Yeah, as I said, beginning of the season, it's all about helping each other out. And we think about our brothers on the South Side a lot.
What?
And we had you guys a favor. We took care of Cleveland for you guys, and now your lead is starting to extend in first place suddenly. You know, so we're gonna keep doing our part. Hopefully, you guys can help us. And like I said, there's one goal this season: Sox, Cubs, World Series. Nothing else, you know. And we're doing our part right now.
What? Okay. Lance C. Irvin, you be quiet.
That's my man, Lance, dance.
Lance, I feel like you're trying to ride the fence. I always feel like you're riding the fence with this anyways about the Cubs and the Sox. You got those people that are trying to like just be on both sides because they're like, you know, either way, I'm trying to kick it and celebrate. That's where I feel like this is going. You know what? I love the series. I mean, obviously, it makes it better for the Sox. So I'm with you. Just like when we were playing the Brewers, and you know, obviously, and obviously the Cardinals, you want to see those wins. It helps everybody out. So I think I was maybe listening the other day, and Shawn, you might have said no. It was Jason who said it, that it's the one time I'll actually like root for the Cubs. I'm not exactly rooting for you. I'm just giving you a soft applause, like good job. That's it. That's the best I can do, unless it involves Javi. And if it involves Javi, then I'll get up and do the happy dance or something. But beyond that, yeah, you know. No.
Javi went deep for you last night too.
I was just about to say it, 450 feet deep.
What did I miss? Okay. No, it was. You know what? It was a good game. Like you said, and everyone knows how I feel about Darvish. He will always be a person that just will not sit well with me because
you know
what? If you ask me who I dislike more, it's Darvish. Oh no, it is. It's Darvish.
Because that was your side team, and he blew those two. Well, he didn't blow those 2 games. He got cheated those 2 games, but he looked so bad, man. I get it because they were there, and you're ready to celebrate. Like my side boo won the World Series, and
then here comes you, and then he just messed everything up. I'm telling you, I'll tell you something though. He better, from a perspective for the Cubs playoffs, because that's where he tends not to pitch his best, is when he gets into the postseason. He better, he needs to, he needs to do better in the postseason. Like
trash cans aside.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, trash cans aside. He legitimately needs to pitch better in the postseason, something that he historically has not done, whether it was the Dodgers or the Rangers. He has not been a good postseason type pitcher. So I'm okay with this, but at the end of the day, he needs to be better in the postseason.
We got to take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we have more top of the morning topics. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. The White Sox strengthened their hold on the American League Central with a 6-2 win over the Twins on Tuesday. Dane Dunning pitched 7 solid innings while Louis Robert had a key 2-run single. Dunning improved to 2-0. He gave up 1 earned run in 3 hits, striking out 7 and walking 2. Tim Anderson and James McCann homered as Chicago improved to 32 and 16. It was their 6th consecutive win. They moved 3 games ahead of second place Minnesota, which was the AL Central winner a year ago. 4-2, Lucas Giolito starts for the Sox tonight against Minnesota. Trailing 5-3 in the 9th, Wilson Contreras and Cameron Maben plunked by consecutive pitches from Cleveland reliever Nick Whitgren, and the Cubs beat Cleveland 6-5 Tuesday. Javier Baez with a homer for the Cubs, who increased their lead to 5 games in the National League Central. John Lester starts tonight against Cleveland. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
I am Disinfector.
What's with him? I told him flu shots gave us a superpower against germs.
CVS is your one-stop shop for immunity support, from hand wipes to vitamins that are third-party tested to confirm they meet our high standards.
Take that, germs!
Plus, get a $5 off $20 shopping pass when you get a free flu shot. Visit CVS today. No-cost flu shots with most insurance. Restrictions apply. Visit CVS.com and CVS.com/tested for details.
Whether class is in school, at home, or a little bit of both, school goes on.
And Staples has everything you need to start the year right.
From lap desks to notebooks, noise-canceling headphones to UV sanitizers.
And all at amazing prices. This week, pocket folders, comp books, and 4-ounce Elmer's glue are just 25 cents each.
Shop in-store or pick up curbside. School on, save on at Staples.
Ends 9/19. In-store only. Limit 6 while supplies last. Curbside available in most stores.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago on this Hump Day edition. And before the break, we were talking a little baseball, and I like it. I like it a lot. And you know what? Just FYI, in case you, and if you don't know, now you know, who has the second best record in baseball? The White Sox. And they have a 667 winning percentage of 32 and 16. And the best record is your side team, Maya. So your 2 Boos are up there. Okay, the Los Angeles Dodgers, 34 and 15 with a 694 percentage, is the only one that tops the White Sox. And I'll tell you what, we only need 1 more win. Out of these next 2, we could split these next 2. No. We take 3 out of 4.
I want pedal to the metal. I want them to absolutely to do this with like a hunger. Like, I want them to be like, we want to have a better record. I want them to want every single win. I don't want them to think lightly about anything. I want the momentum for it. So
no, I do too. But I'm saying if we get a split, then I'm happy, because 3 out of 4 is dominating. 4 out of 4. That you talk about, Mike Tyson talked about everyone's got a plan so you get punched in the face. Well, guess what? The Twins will get punched in the face right now. Like, oh snap! This is a lot different than opening series this year when we took 2 out of 3 and embarrassed you guys. Okay, and really just launched balls out of the ballpark. Okay, this is a completely different team.
Well, I think
we talked about it. Remember,
but we said that first series, the beginning of it, we knew that wasn't going to necessarily give us a good barometer of who they were. But what's so important about this series is this is the team to beat in your respective division. So they need to be dominant. They need to own them. Remember when the Bulls had to beat like the likes of Detroit and so on and so forth? It's like the same thing. So they need to be dominant in this series. I like where the pitching rotation fell in this particular series. It was on a good spot, so to speak. We even saw prospects get called up. Was it Stiver that we'd never seen before? Who, not in this series, but before that, I was like, who's this kid? Oh, okay. That's interesting. But we're now getting back those pieces, like Jace Fry came back.
Yes, looking good.
Yeah, Thickums. He looked like he'd been hitting the table. I was like, Jace, you done got a little thick in the off time. But it was but he looked good. I mean, his pitches. I mean, so you get him back, and they're saying, we'll get Rodon back by the end of the season. You'll get Bummer. I mean, these are the pieces that we need into play. So, I mean, I'm liking it. But the Twins, I want a dominant series because this is in their psyche. Like, when they play the Cubs, let's be honest, it's a rivalry that has its ticky-tack. And I said to end the season against the Cubs is going to be interesting because we'll see what's at stake. They'll probably both be in the playoffs at that point, but it'll be like, is it going to be about winning the division, being in the playoffs? Or, it'll be curious to see what's at stake at that particular matchups.
Yeah, I think this next series between the Cubs and Sox, they'll be playing for pride. And I know right now, like I said, the Sox struck the first blow by coming into our stadium, destroying us, and then leaving us to dry. Like they spanked us like we were their little babies, So at the end of the day, I'm loving what the White Sox are doing. They're actually living up to their potential, which we appreciate. Okay. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop.
Get it.
I want to see you in the World Series. You're my brothers. You're my Southside brothers. Keep it going.
Oh. Now let's not get Joseph. Let's not go overboard. We're not your Southside brethren, so don't be trying to soften the blow. I'm thinking like Leonidas from 300. Take everything and leave them nothing. That's how I feel about the Cubs.
I'm thinking Eddie Murphy. I'm thinking Eddie Murphy in 48 hours. We ain't brothers, we ain't partners, and we ain't friends. And if you can't get away with my money, you can be mad you ever met me.
That's what I'm talking about. So don't be trying to soften it up like we will never be brethren. Right now, we do some things that are advantageous for each other. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. But when the time comes, I'm going to beat you down like you stole something from me. Just a little savage, but I'm just saying.
You know what? And speaking of beat you down, yes, it was. Well, you know what? The next top of the morning topic, the ML. Speaking of World Series and playoffs, the Major League Baseball has set the playoff bubbles. Okay, so if God willing, knock on wood, if God willing, both teams are able to make it. Guess what? Or even to get to the ALCS. Well, first of all, the playoffs aren't going to be held at their home stadiums. The ALCS will be held at San Diego's Petco Park, which is San Diego's awesome. Petco Park. I haven't been in there yet. The NL Championship Series will be at Globe Life Park. Okay, and so the ALDS will be at Petco and Dodger Stadium, and the NLDS will be at Globe Life. Globe Life is the Texas Rangers Stadium, and Houston's Minute Maid Park. So there's going to be the bubble there. They I guess they've seen what the effects, the positive effects that the bubbles had on the NBA.
Right.
So I guess it makes sense. But that would be so 2020 for Chicago fans if both or one team gets there and you can't go to the games and they're not even here in the stadium.
I might just go down and hang out in the city just because. Why not? Why not just why not put the aura there? Why not just all Sox fans just descend on a city and just be there for one of the playoffs game? I know we can't be in the stadium, but why not just
take over the entertainment district
and just take over? And all you see are that's how Iowa people do it. People you guys are like roaches. Because you know what? We come out in droves. You could be in Japan and Hawkeyes will be in Japan. I swear to God. That's what we should do for the playoffs. We should just all descend on whatever city the bubble is in just to show our support. I think that would be kind of awesome, actually.
I think that would be history for you guys because you never show your team support. And for the first time in history, that would be a great opportunity to do that. Now, the Cubs, on the other hand, we're like roaches. We're all over the world.
You're definitely like roaches. That's for sure.
Yes.
So I know you agree. We'll be out in strong support. We're going to pretty much cover up.
You are not helping our cause. Roaches.
You're not roaches, right?
Use another animal.
Hold up. I gave it a little bit more flavor. I said, look, I gave it a little bit more flavor. I mean, what?
All right. We're ants, okay? So here's the deal. At the end of the day, this is a good opportunity for both fans to come out and show strong support. I love to see White Sox fans fill up State Street, in droves, watching their team, leading their team to the World Series. And then I like the Cubs fans to fill up the rest of the capacity of the city, as we always do. Bad buzz, that's pretty funny. I like the Cubs fans to fill up the rest of the capacity of the city, as we always do. and support our team. And we'll put them all together, and we'll have Chicago's full population. That'll be an amazing sight to see.
It's a really nice stadium.
You know, they do things bigger in Texas, is what they say.
Yeah, and they do. But didn't we talk about this, Shawn and I? We said that there's a possibility that MLB was going to try to take their cues from the NBA and actually play the playoffs in the bubble, or actually play it at a separate site versus playing at the field. So we did say that, but they didn't do it in the domes, unfortunately. But they said they were going to do it in a separate site. So that's working out fine for everybody. It's being predicted. And number two, that's a fair shot for the home and away team, so it won't be any home field advantages. You know, you're actually playing on a neutral site, so that works out fine. It won't be any cheating involved like Houston was doing last year. They had the guys in the stands flashing signals and hitting garbage cans, so you don't have to worry about none of that. All you got to do is go out there and play baseball, just like the Little League World Series. I'm
just irritated that Houston's actually playing relatively well because I don't feel like the punishment was good enough that they got for cheating. And what did everybody say? What would be really annoying in this whole situation is if Houston makes it to the playoffs, you know, or something like that. It's like then there was no real punishment for their actions. And also just like the Red Sox, even though they suck this year, but still it was like no real punishment. So if you can be back in the playoffs and back in the World Series, well, you know what? To tell you the truth, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And I'd be like, if that's the only punishment for cheating, but I can still deal. Why would anybody else think twice about cheating?
Well, of course, it makes sense. You have to set an example, and Major League Baseball didn't do a good enough job of setting an example on their punishment for the Houston Nationals crime. So, not happy about that. Not happy about that at all. Well, listen, next top of the morning topic. Moving on, the Bulls. We got Bulls news. Kobe White is named to the all-rookie second team. You go, boy. You go, boy. Kobe. You know what? He is the first Bulls to make all-rookie since Larry Markkinen did in 2018.
And then we ruined him after that, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that is good news coming out of Bulls camp, Kobe White. I think he might have had a chance to make first team had he been given more time. But
right,
they brought in Saturansky. They brought in Saturansky and thought Saturansky was the end all be all at point guard for them. And you know what? I thought put him in there, let him swim, sink or swim. You know, let him work it out because it's gonna be him and Zach anyway, running the 1 and 2 interchangeably. So put him in there. But they did it slowly. Thank you, Boylan, who's no longer here. And
I was concerned. I was really concerned that they weren't going to cut the cord on that because now they're paying 3 coaches. You know what I mean? So I was afraid they're going to be cheap and not cut the cord. So this is actually looking up in many ways.
Yeah, that was only because of the political pressure they were facing from the outside, not just from the fans, but from a PR perspective. You know, like they had to make the right decision. Like I noticed. Even when the new GM was hired, or not the new GM, but the president of basketball operations was hired, he said he was watching The Last Dance before he signed Mark Eversley as the new GM. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Why should I wait till Monday?" He's like, "I was motivated after watching The Last Dance." I was like, "I know you were because it's giving Bulls management the black eye they already had. It's giving them an abused face." You see what I mean? Like. They're never going to recover from the things that they've done to Michael Jordan. They're never going to recover from the things that they've done to Derrick Rose. And if they don't watch it, they'll never recover from the things that they've done to Tom Thibodeau and Phil Jackson. So my whole thing is it's a new era. Let's wipe the floor with this. You got the Denver Nuggets going to the Western Conference Finals, who was built by our new Bulls president of basketball operations. So that's a good sign for us as an organization.
Very big sign. That's huge. That's huge.
I don't want to say never because I like the way it's going now with our tourists. I like the way our tourist kind of service is going things. Now, the only way that it will be forever is if they start meddling again.
Forever.
Yeah. If they start meddling with basketball operations again, that's when I could see it being a problem. If they start putting their fingers all over what our tourists.
Okay. Apparently, she's like, hold up. She's like, hold up.
Yeah, right. Now, if he
that was a Bulls fan.
I love what our tourist is trying to do. I think the Bulls are going to revert right back to that old, that Garpax, era.
Yeah, Dr. Evil. Dr. Evil.
No, I don't
think he will. No, he's already built the title.
Not just that, though. He didn't come here with the intentions of being told what to do.
Right.
He was brought here to do what he does best. And here's the difference. The Bulls will probably let him have this autonomy, especially after what had just happened in Denver, that he left. By the way, Jokic, oh my goodness, Lord have mercy.
Double-double.
Goodness, Lord have mercy. Nobody had an answer for him, but that's another story.
Where's Doug McDermott? Where's Doug McDermott?
Please stop. I believe they're going to give the two of them, Eversley, and they're going to give them that autonomy because not just because they're young, but because of the fact of what happened in Denver. I think they're feeling good about, because let's be honest, the Bulls have talent. We've never questioned that. It's how it was used. Larry Marketing, not to say he's a Jokic, but should be playing at a higher level than what we saw him play last year. We saw him look amazing 2 years ago. And then all of a sudden, when he started punching clocks and bringing lunch pails, then we had a problem and running sprints. Now he's not the same guy anymore. Now that key is the head coach piece. You know what I mean? That's a piece that to me is going to be so important to really make sure it's the right fit.
Now, I think these next 2 years are definitely going to be telling, but I do see a breakthrough in the free agent pool on the horizon. I as long as our tourists and Eversley are able to, implement their culture within this Bulls system, a Bulls team that has lacked culture in it for decades.
You know what's interesting is I believe that all the players sitting around right now that's watching didn't make it to the bubble. Their season end prematurely. If I'm like Levine, if I'm Markkanen, if I'm Kobe White, if I'm any of those guys, I'm watching what happened with Denver and I'm looking at now what's in my organization. And I'm probably feeling a little differently about the direction of the organization because I believe that everybody was very lackluster at one point last year. Like they just didn't care anymore. So I do believe that the firing of Boylan probably brought more of them back on board, that this team is committed to winning. You know what I mean? And then watching that the people that you're putting in place, they're seeing success in the playoffs. And let's be honest, what is the more difficult side of the NBA in regards to that particular, out West is huge. I believe it'll probably infuse a lot more confidence and focus with this young team.
And I add this to what you guys are saying, and I have a suggestion for the Bulls. Like, you know how this new trend that's taking place where they're hiring like agents as GMs, sports agents as GMs now, with the Knicks and Leon Rose, etc. What the Bulls need to do, like some of the top players, trainers that work with the top players in the offseason, they need to bring one of them on to the organization and let that be a part of their player development. So that these guys that are working with these trainers that aren't helping them progress, you can never get away from progression if you're getting from the organization on a daily basis. So that's just a suggestion that I'll throw out there as far as player development, because from what I heard, the Bulls didn't even have a player development in their organization. They were hiring people from within, to do player development jobs. And I'm not trying to take shots at player development, but I don't think they're going to qualify to develop players.
Too late. You already did it. We need to stop saying things like, I'm not going to take a shot at it because it needs to have a shot taken. Yeah.
That's my South Side preemptive strike. I had to throw it out there. I'm sorry.
They do need it. They need help in the medical field and medical staff is what they need. In the development and the medical staff, because those go hand in hand. However you develop your players, whatever strength and conditioning program you put these guys through, has to kind of go hand in hand with the medical staff, because they've diagnosed. We're going to go all the way back to Luol Deng and then to Derrick Rose and other people who've had injuries, and they've misdiagnosed a couple of players, and a couple of players is a couple too many. And when you're dealing with multi-million-dollar athletes, especially one who was the youngest MVP in the league and whose career was cut short, I'm not saying it's their fault, but what I'm saying is where they need to be held accountable is when you misdiagnose things, and it's happened more than once in this organization. So I like where you're going with that, Joseph. If you bring in guys, one that has a connection with a lot of players, because now you're saying, I can go work out with this guy in Chicago, stay in Chicago. We all know Chicago's a great city, and now you actually can be. You can be at the forefront of have a magnet, so to speak, of getting top players. So when it's time for free agency, say, hey, you know what? Maybe I will give the Shy a chance, as opposed to, no, I don't want to go there because of what they did to other people. So if you notice, real quick, Armando Lara III, how about this? I just put that up. Kendrick Nunn, Simeon's own Kendrick Nunn, first team all rookie. That young man was balling all year.
Yeah.
Good to.
Hey, Shawn, I am going to put the blame. I just feel like with, especially with Derrick Rose, it was something that we haven't seen since, the Jordan era. We're going to have a team that's contending for, not only the playoffs, but for a title year in and year out. And, just thinking about who Jerry Reinsdorf is, thinking about how everything panned out, with the 90s Bulls, and then rewatching it with The Last Dance. Why wouldn't there be a misdiagnosis? Because you want to put the best players possible. You want your best product possible on the court so you can make the most money. I just feel like the Bulls are more money hungry than actually give a damn about what they put out on the floor, at least up until this point.
But that would be counterproductive, because if you put a guy out there when he's not healthy, then the chances are. But hold on, then the chances are then he's going to get hurt. So why would you rush your guys back? Because if it's about money, and you say, hey, listen, if it's about money, then the long play is this: I need him in the playoffs. I need this guy to play the full season. I can't take him back. Remember, they had fights. They came down at Vinny Del Negro and John Paxson's I forgot who it was. He's on a minutes restriction. Like, if it's literally 1 second over, you're getting fired. So I definitely think they care about their health, but they don't care about their health because as human beings, they care about their health as commodities. Because in the long run, you take us to the playoffs. That's playoff money. That's playoff money.
It's almost like a slave system, hey, are you, I need you to produce. I can care less about your stomach hurting, your head hurting, whatever, so that we can look good. And it goes back to Jerry Cross, and rest in peace, Jerry Cross. He always used to say, organizations win championships,
right.
And I totally understand where he's coming from. But like Michael Jordan says, yes, organizations do win championships, but players actually have to go out there and do the work, and you have to pay the players. And if you got the wrong players in there, you're not winning the thing. So you're just walking around with nice executive suits on. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, it's time to throw that mantra out of the window and start from scratch and rebuild it from the ground up. Get rid of the old foundation, even the people that still trying to hang around. I'm not trying to request that they get fired. I'm not about to go Stephen A. Smith on them. But, if you're not here to win basketball games and you're trying to push your financial future over the team winning basketball games, then there's a conflict of interest there. You see what I mean? Bulls are designed to play basketball. We're not designed to give out public speeches, et cetera, like that. They're a basketball team, okay? We need to see them play basketball. That's what they're here for. I understand the charitable aspect. That's great, but they're a basketball team. We need to play basketball, period.
Joseph, finishing that out with a resounding, I like it, Papa. I like it. Joe's got a little fired up right there.
I love the Bulls. I love the Bulls, man. I just hate what they've done to this organization, man. It's almost 23 years since we won a championship. That's the number of Michael Jordan. Okay? At 23 years, brother, come on now. 23 years.
You and 6 million other Chicagoland area fans are not happy with what the Bulls have done. The next top of the morning topic, moving on quickly, the LA Clippers. LA Clippers blow a 3-1 series lead and fall to the Denver Nuggets in Game 7 yesterday, 104-89. Oh, my goodness. Jokic, Maya, you were talking about it. Going Jokic, 16 points, 22 rebounds, 13 dimes. And is anyone going to stop Murray? Is anyone? I mean, you better cover him when he crosses the half court. 40 points, leading the way yesterday for the Denver Nuggets to beat the LA Clippers and advance to the Western Conference Finals.
First of all, just cue up Kumo D for Jokic. I ain't know. All kinds of people use. I mean, just ridiculousness. Okay, but here's the thing that's interesting. I respected Kawhi Leonard's game. I did. But I always felt like, and I made this comment, people are like, you're crazy. I'm like, I felt like he got a little bit more credit than he should have in regards to being like just that. Like people are like, he's better than LeBron. I'm like, you would lie. No, he's not. The best case scenario for him was to have stayed in Toronto. Toronto played really hard to the end, but let's be honest, we always knew they were still missing that one player. Kawhi came in and he was that one player for them. You know what I mean? It was a good fit, but he was hot and heavy to get back to LA, and I get it. Paul George, I don't know why people talk about him like he's really that good. I was like, that's not a team. What?
He's a jump shooter. He's not a guy who can create his own shot, take it to the hole. He's not
a baller. That's what it comes down to. And I looked at that squad and I was like, okay, I don't, but the thing is, even Patrick Beverley, they didn't play well. But still, Denver played at a high level and have quality talent. Now we're going to see where that goes in this next round.
Maya, who was their GM? Who was Denver's GM?
Now? Oh, I don't know who it is now.
That put that team together.
Our president of basketball operations.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I gave shout out to the Denver Nuggets, because this could be the future of the Bulls if the Bulls don't try to micromanage what he does.
Oh, they can't. They're not.
And in addition to that, I also call this the curse of COVID-19, because a lot of players lost their superpowers during this time off, including Lou Williams. Like Lou Williams was playing lights out before all this COVID-19 stuff happened. And in addition to that, when it goes to the Houston Rockets, the same thing. Russell Westbrook, once he was diagnosed with it, it took his game down to another level. So what I'm saying is that teams are taking advantage of that. Like they could care less if you wasn't in the gym or not. Their whole chemistry was knocked off due to that layoff in COVID-19. So I'm not trying to take any pressure off of Kawhi Leonard. I'm not trying to take any pressure off of Doc Rivers. What I'm saying is that COVID-19 played a big role in destroying the chemistry of that team. And
okay, and then Denver showed up and just got all
mollywopped.
Yeah, I'm like, we can always give an asterisk by it if we want and say Denver only won because of COVID-19. I beg to differ, because to me, the Michael Jordan game. Come on now, there comes a point in time where you just have to rise up and play above and beyond when you're the superstar. And to me, Kawhi didn't play at that level like they needed him to. That's just it, because that's what superstars do. So Denver exposed again, though. I never was like enamored with the Clippers. I don't think Paul George is that good. I never have. When he gets dealt around, I'm like, why does everybody give him? I mean, he's a shooter, but he's not even like a Robert Horry. You know what I mean? Big shot Bob. He ain't even like that. So I mean, for them, hit the reset button. The same conversation is going to happen in Houston. Again, who can't get it done. Now, mind you, somebody made this comment again on What's Up Cuz. Melvin Ely said this about Anthony Davis. He goes, play like a big man. He thought he was a little too easygoing, soft. He's like, if he plays like a big man, he goes, nobody's beating the Lakers. He's like, he has to understand what his size means in this game and his dominance. Let's be honest. LeBron is on a mission. Seriously. He's on a mission. And no matter who, to me, whoever has to face the Lakers, that's going to be a rough road. I now want to see Denver, because I'm going to tell you what's not going to happen, regardless of COVID-19. The conversation is not going to be like that with LA, because LA is on a mission. LeBron is hungry. He wants this. And I'm pretty sure he'll have this conversation with everybody in the locker room, like, guys, there's no reason why we can't win this. Because once you get past the West, seriously, God help the East. I'm just telling you this because
unless Jimmy Butler goes ham. But on that note, we got to take a break. So we got our next guest. Hey, Joseph, thank you. Hey, you just need a Cub hat on him. All you need is a Cub hat on that.
Oh yeah, look who got on.
That's too funny.
Hey, Joseph, thanks, Baba. We appreciate it. We'll see you on Friday. Thanks for tuning in. As always, Joseph Phillips, the editor for Chicago Crusader newspaper. Listen, we got to take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to talk to another good friend of the program and talk a little more baseball, get back into the baseball conversation. Get ready for the FutureSox.com. But he knows baseball in and out, so we're going to talk Sox and Cubs with him. Our guy, Casey Boguslaw. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here, since I don't know how to talk on this Wednesday. Casey Boguslaw coming up next right here, Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. The White Sox strengthened their hold on the American League Central with a 6-2 win over the Twins on Tuesday. Dane Dunning pitched 7 solid innings while Louis Robert had a key 2-run single. Dunning improved to 2-0. He gave up 1 earned run in 3 hits, striking out 7 and walking 2. Tim Anderson and James McCann homered as Chicago improved to 32 and 16. It was their 6th consecutive win. They moved 3 games ahead of second place Minnesota, which was the AL Central winner a year ago. 4-2, Lucas Giolito starts for the Sox tonight against Minnesota. Trailing 5-3 in the 9th, Wilson Contreras and Cameron Maben plunked by consecutive pitches from Cleveland reliever Nick Whitgren, and the Cubs beat Cleveland 6-5 Tuesday. Javier Baez with a homer for the Cubs, who increased their lead to 5 games in the National League Central. John Lester starts tonight against Cleveland. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
I am Disinfector.
What's with him?
I told him flu shots gave us a superpower against germs.
CVS is your one-stop shop for immunity support, from hand wipes to vitamins that are third-party tested to confirm they meet our high standards.
Take that, germs.
Plus, get a $5 off $20 shopping pass when you get a free flu shot. Visit CVS today. No-cost flu shots with most insurance. Restrictions apply. Visit CVS.com and CVS.com/tested for details.
Whether class is in school, at home, or a little bit of both, school goes on.
And Staples has everything you need to start the year right.
From lap desks to notebooks, noise-canceling headphones to UV sanitizers.
And all at amazing prices. This week, pocket folders, comp books, and 4-ounce Elmer's glue are just 25 cents each.
Shop in-store or pick up curbside. School on, save on at Staples.
Ends 9/19. In-store only. Limit 6 while supplies last. Curbside available in most stores.
Welcome back to SportsZone Chicago. Shawn and Maya in the morning. Shawn is having one of those moments in his head anyways. We just wrapped up top of the morning, covered a lot of baseball talk, and we're going to continue it. Yeah. Hello there.
I'm back, baby. Sorry. That 2 minutes goes by quick, fast, in a hurry. Don't worry. Flavor vision ain't blurry. So we're back. We're ready to roll. But our next guest, good friend of the program. Ivan's not jumping in because it's going to be 3 against 1. It's bad enough with me and Maya against him. But he's a good friend of the program. He writes for FutureSox.com. But, man, he knows baseball inside and out. We love it. He is you can find him on Twitter at Casey Boguslaw. Guys, let's welcome back to Shawn and Maya, Casey Boguslaw. Casey, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Shawn, Maya, how's it going?
Good.
Hell, we got the best record in the AL, second best record in baseball. It's going pretty damn well, if I do say so myself.
Absolutely, nothing to complain about right here. White Sox are just having a dream season, and it continues, and hopefully it will continue long through the month of October. It's going to be a lot of fun when these playoffs get started.
This is a big series. This is a statement series against the Minnesota Twins. They kind of they beat us around and smacked us a little bit in that opening series, and we were kind of riding high on our potential. Okay, and then Minnesota came in and said, "Hey, we are still the reigning AL Central champs," and gave it to us in that opening series, and it brought us back down to earth quick, fast. This series is a little different. It's a lot different. The first 2 games, it seems like every time Minnesota tries to do something, the Sox have an answer for it, and not just an answer, an emphatic answer for it. Home runs, key strikeouts, things like that. Talk about what you see differently from that first series to this series, and the confidence that the White Sox, the young White Sox, have.
Yeah, that's what it's been. I think that, and Luis Robert said it yesterday and in the post-game interview that they feel invincible right now, and you can sense it. These are the first 2 games of the series were the ones they were the underdogs in, with Cease and Dunning going against the veteran pitchers of the Twins, and the next 2 games are the games that the White Sox are supposed to win, so they're in a really good spot right now, and anything could happen. Baseball is a crazy game, but Dylan Cease, I think he showed something on Monday that he was able to at least get out of some jams. Of course, you want to see him go late in games just because you kind of want to know what you have after Giolito and Keuchel when the postseason comes. But the truth is, we got to see it last night. I think that's the guy. Dane Dunning really showed that he is going to be the guy that most likely that Renteria is going to go to after Giolito and Keuchel, because that guy has been great. Of course, it's a little bit surprising just because, he wasn't he was the third part of that Adam Eaton trade and just a little bit under the radar, but Dunning has been awesome. Of course, his first couple games, the White Sox, gave him the training wheel starts with the Royals and the Pirates and the Tigers, but this was a real start against the Twins and he looked great. And this was a Twins lineup that, beat the crap out of the Indians the past weekend. They came in hot, and the White Sox pitching, Dunning and the bullpen have shut them down. Yeah, there was a ton of walks on Monday, but they, like you mentioned it, they got the big strikeout when they needed to. They got the big double play ground ball when they needed it. And, everything has gone the White Sox way, and it continues to roll that way. Offense gets the big clutch hits. It was Tim Anderson, Adam Engel, just really cool stuff going all around. And, yeah, now it's just rolling. Now it's confidence. The confidence is building of a team that, of course, has never been there, but at least they're just riding high and feeling really good about themselves heading into the rest of this month, and then heading into, what's going to be a really quick, fast, insane playoff run that the MLB came out with the rules yesterday that there's going to be no days off, pretty much because they want to get these guys in and out of the bubble. They want them to get them back to their family, but it's going to change a lot of strategy. This is going to be a whole lot different of MLB postseason that we've ever seen. There's going to be a lot different strategy going in, and the White Sox have to be feeling pretty good about themselves.
Dane Dunning, I'm a huge Dane Dunning fan. I have been when he was at Florida, loved him. And see, you just said what I said at the beginning of the show. He is better than Dylan Cease. Cease had starts last year, and you still see him kind of working through the grind. Maybe him not getting deeper into games as you would expect for him to be able to, considering that he's not exactly green, but yet he is a little green. I truly believe that Dane Dunning will move up. Do you think last night in watching him pitch, that's the longest he's ever pitched, that pitch count being that high, do you feel that he's that type of pitcher? I mean, I feel he can pitch 7 to 8 innings, but I know there's a caution to it because of his surgery and coming back from it. But What's your thoughts overall in regards to, do you think we'll see him kind of pitch that many pitches or innings moving throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think so. He throws strikes. He gets the ball and throws it. That's another big difference when contrasting him to Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease's stuff is better, but he just can't control it as well as Dunning. So yeah, I don't want to mess with walks in the postseason, and that's just Dunning had that one. He walked 2 guys in a row last night, and then had a chat with McCann, and then just got back to business and got the next guys out. And that's what what I expect to see out of him. Yeah, you got to be a little bit scared about him coming off the surgery, and we've seen a bunch of guys all across MLB come back from Tommy John surgery and just have hiccups as a season. So yeah, it's there, but we're at crunch time. There's no reason to have any fear right now. It's all hands on deck, and I do think it'll be interesting to see how they line up the rotation, because if they do clinch some things, they could clinch a playoff spot tonight. Then what do you start to think about how we're going to line up this rotation? You do want Giolito at that game 1, September 29th in that wild card series, but then what are they going to do past that? That first series is 3 games, so if they do get to a game 3, it will be an elimination game, and I have a lot of confidence putting Dane Dunning on the mound in a winner take all game right now, just because of what he's shown so far.
Guys, we're joined by Casey Boguslaw from FutureSox.com, talking a little baseball right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. One of the things that I thought I liked when you talked about Dunning and Maya, so quick to say he's better than Dylan Cease, and I agree with that. Although that's not a slight on Cease, but it's just an affirmation on Dunning. He's come out and really done the deal. How do you see this middle rotation coming out? Because now we have, if it's those 3, okay, which I will take up against anybody in the Major League Base in the bigs right now. Now talk to me about that middle relief, because if someone gets roughed up, we got to have somebody in to stop the bleeding. And I like the arms that the White Sox have. Jace Fry just came back. We're getting Rodon back. Talk to me and your feeling about this middle relief. If the situation presents itself where we need somebody to come in and eat some innings and stop the bleeding.
I will feel so much more confident if Aaron Bummer is on that and on the team, come the postseason. And it looks like, he started throwing. So, fingers crossed that Aaron Bummer, because, he is the fireman guy that not only can get you a big key out in a really, leveraged situation, but he can get you multiple innings. If he is fully healthy, hopefully they're not necessarily rushing him, but whatever capacity he's in, and if he is at full capacity, he's just that much stronger. He can go and throw you 2 innings. Think Josh Hader back in, the heyday what the Brewers did, Andrew Miller, what he was doing with the Indians and their, the 2016 run to the World Series. Aaron Bummer has that capability. Now, I don't know if health is going to allow that. So let's put him over to the side, and let's even put Carlos Rodon over to the side, because that is an interesting wild card that the White Sox might have in their back pocket. I just posted an article at Future Sox basically saying, if Carlos Rodon is that weapon out of the bullpen, that'd be very interesting. I remember coming on with you, in January, Shawn, and telling you that I had really high hopes for what Carlos Rodon could provide out of the bullpen. And I finally put, pen to paper and got it out, posted up on Future Stocks to check that out. But basically, it's possible with his slider, what he could do to a team, coming out of the bullpen and being a very drastic change to what Giolito does or Keuchel does. That would be a really awesome thing to have out of the pen. So let's put those on the side. Let's talk about who they have active right now. Matt Foster has been, really great in the roles that he is in. He's going to be able to, if they do, need a flotation device, if Dunning does struggle. And I think, let's go back to Cease. I think Cease will have to start a game, from what I talked about, with no days off in these championship series. We're talking, hopefully they do get into the DS, which would be 5 games, CS, which would be 7 games. Dylan Cease will have to make a playoff start at some point, and if he does have a struggle, you're going to need a flotation device. But Matt Foster's there. Gio Gonzalez, that's what he was brought on for. He has he has experience being a swing man, not only in regular season but in the postseason. He's done it. He's a veteran. You got to be careful with him, because I do think that he hits a wall quickly. We saw that on Monday. He got those first 2 guys out on Monday and then just walked 2 guys in a row. So Ricky's got to be really careful, and that it's going to be a huge test. Rick Renteria has never managed in the postseason before, and we're going to see what's like. I've been critical of him on Twitter, and we're going to see it's a different ball game when you're managing in the postseason. Your back's against the wall, and I don't know if Ricky's going to change when he gets to that point. We're all going to see it for the first time.
So here's a couple thoughts. And I was right there with you, Casey, about Rodon being in middle relief. I felt like, that could be a good spot for him. He's just not healthy, but yet he's got starter stuff. But if you can put him in middle relief, that's great. But the platooning thing, I said this, and Ivan argued with me. And actually, Joseph argued about this too. It was Joseph who argued more. I said, especially with the likes of Cease and Dunning, to know that you have the likes of a Rodon or a Bummer that can maybe come in if they are kind of faltering, I think might be huge. But let me ask you this question. Where does Ray Lopez fit in all this?
Does.
Well, he was like, "Oh no, this is dirty." No, really.
Well. Let's think about this just logistically. It's a 28-man roster, which is a lot different than past postseasons. It's a luxury that the White Sox will have. So there's going to be a lot of different questions on what they're going to be able to do. The bullpen has been great and it's been deep. You're not going to have a guy like Zach Birdie or Bernardo Flores. I don't think so, because hopefully it won't have to come to that, just because there's been so many good guys. Evan Marshall, has been absolutely wonderful. Ross Detweiler has been used, sporadically, but I think he's been pretty good. Cody Hewer has been awesome. So you're going to have enough guys in the pen where I don't know. I don't know if it's going to come down to Reynaldo Lopez, especially in that first series, with 3 games. I think we've only been talking about pitching. When we talk about the lineup, James McCann has been pushing himself into an everyday role. I want him in the lineup every single playoff game. Edwin Encarnacion, I'm a little less critical than most of White Sox Twitter, who want him gone. They want to send him to the retirement home. But I think there's no question on who you'd want to start, McCann or Encarnacion right now. So what I was going to say is, if you do have McCann and Grandal in the lineup every day, which I think is the best lineup, then I think you do need a Zach Collins on the roster, because just for situations where you need a backup catcher. Does that push one of the arms out of the pen? Is that Ronaldo Lopez? Are we going to see Ronaldo Lopez get another start? I think there is another spot, obviously, with no days off for the rest of the season, where you're going to have a fifth day.
Right.
He showed a little bit against Detroit. He needs to keep showing it. He needs to still, I think he still has time to prove that he's worthy of a spot. I would be, if that happens at a postseason game, if Ricky comes out and calls Ronaldo Lopez out of the pen, I will be incredibly nervous.
I'm gonna tell you what, I feel like Ray Lopez is like Mission Impossible. After this message, this will self-destruct. I do not want to put him into a playoff role. I just don't feel like he's reliable. And I kind of felt like he was going to be the odd man out this year anyways. Like, I don't feel like he's going to be in a White Sox uniform come next year, because there's too many other things that are moving and are more reliable. And I felt like if he didn't step into this year and pitch at a high level to show why he should still be here, then I felt like he wouldn't be here come next year. But now you have all these young arms coming in that are showing they can pitch at this level. I'm like, I don't want to lose a game. And I hope Ricky understands this. I don't want to lose a game because you let Ray Lopez pitch.
Absolutely. And I think there's too many good options that rank above him right now.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't agree more. I like Ray Lopez. He's a nice guy, but at this stage, especially in a 3-game set, there's just too many, God bless it, talented arms that have shown. Okay, not just, we're going off of talent and potential. You talked about Hewer, you talked about Detweiler, you talked about some of the other guys. These young guys are ready to roll. These young guys, Evan Marshall with his crazy, wild pitching motion, it doesn't matter. These guys are ready, and I would put every single one of them over Ray Lopez. So I don't know if he's got a spot in the roster, because why, especially in a 3-game series? What are you going to? If you use him, when would you use him? Even if you wanted to put him in, if you're blowing somebody out, why would you use him instead of another young guy to get that other young guy who's performed more confidence? There's no reason. I see no reason to put Ray Lopez back in the postseason. Regular season, yes, you want maybe a start, maybe something else, fine. But the postseason, I don't see a spot for him. He can be on the roster, but he's just going along for the ride. That's all.
Tell me this: when they acquired Steve Cishek, I was like, why? Why?
Yes.
I was like, why? I was like, well, what? Why? Why are we doing this? Your thoughts? Because I'm underwhelmed with him. I just didn't think he was that great with the Cubs, and I really have not cared for his appearances with the Sox. What's your thoughts about Cishek?
Yeah, he's almost kind of the forgotten guy. He started off really weak. He was really bad at the beginning of the year. Did kind of straighten up a little bit. Had, I think one rocky performance, but then he's kind of been the forgotten guy. Ricky was really going to him a ton, and that's why he was brought in, because he has a rubber arm. He's just done. Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of Cubs fans thought he was overused when he in his days with that Joe Maddon would always go to him. But that's because he does have a rubber arm, and now that rubber arm is Jimmy Cordero for Ricky. He trusts him a little bit more, and Cishek has been, I can't even really remember a Cishek appearance for the last couple of weeks here. He might be an arm that's pushed out of a 28-man roster as well. And it's okay. It was a good gamble. I thought when they signed him that they did need one veteran arm towards the back end of the bullpen, just because we didn't know what these young guys were going to do. And now we know what these young guys can do, and that they've proven it. They've shown up in big spots, and pushed them out. So I think it was a smart move at the time, and now it's just an expendable part, I guess we can call it. I think maybe he will be on the roster. I guess I just haven't really crunched it together, but we'll see. If it's Cishek or Lopez, I'd pick Cishek. I'll say that.
That's awful. Jesus, like to have to pick between the two of them is like torture. Yeah. Okay, so talking about Cordero, because my thing about Cordero, I think he really, he just really he's not consistent. And I kind of feel like Ricky has to do better with managing him. Like, he leans a little too heavy on him sometimes, and I think hence he doesn't pitch well. How confident are you that he's a good fit into the rotation when we talk about that 28-man roster?
He was better last year, for whatever reason. I think he, maybe just the scouting reports out on him. He hasn't had the strikeout numbers, and that's what you want to have. Ricky has gone into him big situations, and he's been the first guy to the pen. this is going back to what I mentioned. You know, pitching in the postseason is a different animal. Cordero is not a guy I think you're going to go to or should go to in a postseason where your life is on the line. He's fine for the regular season. When you need to eat innings, he's fine. He can pitch a bunch of innings. He can pitch, multiple days in a row. It's been kind of the running joke on Sox Twitter that he's the guy that Ricky goes to, and he's the first, call from the pen. I think that's going to change. We can continue to talk about the roster crunch in that 3-game series. I don't really think there's a spot for Jimmy Cordero just because, you're going to have Cease out of the pen. If we're talking about Dunning being lined up for that game 3, Cease will be out of the pen. Maybe Rodon, Bummer, all those guys. I don't think there's a need for Cordero. But in a 5-game and then in a 7-game series, you might have a spot where Jimmy Cordero needs to go out there and
see, I think the universe is like,
froze on us for a second.
Because you know what? The universe is like, stop talking about Jimmy Cordero.
Jimmy Cordero. I think it's what it was. That's what it was.
There we go.
Yeah.
Wait, no, there we go. I was like, let me sprinkle some magic. There he is. Okay.
I'm back. Well, we got all that. Yeah.
We got most of it. And guys, we're joined by Casey Boguslaw for the next couple minutes or so from FutureSox.com, talking a little baseball right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, how far can the Sox go without Luis Robert and Yoan Moncada firing on all cylinders?
I mean, the lineup's so deep. I'd like to say that they can still go pretty far, and I also have faith in both of them. Robert, had the big hit yesterday. Huge hit. And did exactly what he needed to do, beating an infield in, stole a couple bases. And then was talking a big game after the game. So he admitted to having some struggles, that the Royals kind of threw him off with their change of approach. So, it's awesome to hear that how, cognizant he is of what he has. Obviously, he's a super confident dude, but he understands. He's mentioned multiple times that he's mentioned, he's only been in 2 slumps, only been a 50-game season, but he's brought it up to the press himself that he knows exactly what he's doing wrong, which is so good to hear. And then Yoan, obviously, well, both of them, Yoan and Robert play a great defense. So even when they're struggling at the plate, they're so important at very, very key spots and the defensive alignment for this team that, White Sox, pitching staff that allows a lot of balls in play. You're going to want them on the field regardless. And they have a huge impact defensively and what they can do for offensively, just kind of the sky is the limit because both of them are obviously superstars. Moncada's hit the ball pretty, is starting to hit the ball a little bit more. I think even him acknowledging and him bringing it out to the press that he's been struggling with the COVID recovery, I think maybe it just helps him. Maybe, takes a little bit off his shoulders that, we kind of all understand now what he's going through and just understand that he's going to need a day off here and there. We talked about, we're in a good spot right now. Obviously, the White Sox want to win the division. We want to raise that pennant up, hopefully with fans in the crowd when the stadium opens next April. But I don't know how important that is. We're in the postseason. We want to get Lucas Giolito pitching that first game, and we want to have Yoan Moncada nice and ready to go. For this playoff run, that's going to be like I keep mentioning it. I thought that the news was so big that they came out with yesterday with no days off. All of these guys can get healthy. That series at the end of the season against the Cubs, everyone had high expectations on how exciting it would be. Yes. It might not be that exciting because both of these teams may have their playoff spots wrapped up and be resting guys and getting ready for the playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, he's Casey Boguslaw from FutureSox.com.
Let me ask you one last question.
We got one more question, Maya?
One more question for you, Casey. Did you really think at the start of this season, whether it was an abbreviated season or not, that they would mesh so quickly together as a team and play this well? Did you think there was going to be a little bit steeper of a learning curve? Are you kind of surprised at the level they're playing at and where they are?
Maybe I'll be a little hyperbolic here and say Jose Abreu is the key. I think he ties the team together. Ricky's obviously, I think, a very good players manager, has them playing the way that, he wants them to play. But Jose Abreu, I mean, how awesome is that he said all season that he wanted to come back. He'd play for pennies, and he wanted to be on this team when they were ready to win, taking these young guys underneath his wing. Mm-hmm. And then on top of everything, having an MVP season on top of it all. Man, that guy is the key. And, he is so huge. I cannot wait until, they make a statue and put him up at Guaranteed Rate Field.
All right.
Oh, yes.
One last question since you brought up Abreu. I just got it in my ear. Our boss has said it was okay. Who's a bigger MVP candidate? TA7 or Abreu? Because those two guys, and so I guess the two-part question: will they steal votes from each other?
Right? Yeah, I think they will, because I think it's a smart vote to vote either one of them. I thought Abreu had a pretty big lead after that 22-game hitting streak. I just thought that was kind of the narrative that would push him towards the MVP. But now Tim is on fire. I mean, I was doing the math yesterday a little bit last night with a buddy. He could make a run for 400. It's possible. That's how high his batting average is right now. DJ LeMahieu is right on his heels for the batting title. Obviously, he's going to want to be in the lineup to try to continue to win a second straight batting title. What if he makes a push for 400? How's that for a narrative? If he does that, if 400 is starting to be in discussion these last 2 weeks of the season, that's an MVP vote right there. He's just been so great. I wish it could be co-MVP. I wish they could split it in half, because both of them have been so key to what this team is all about. I love the vote for either one. I'd say right now I'd give it to Abreu, though.
Okay. And there hasn't been a co-MVP in Major League Baseball. Would it be possible that there's a first co-MVP with? I mean, because both of these guys, what they're doing is just insane. What they're doing, literally, and independent of each other. That's the crazy part. And I think it's amazing. They're doing it so differently, and what they mean to this White Sox team is just unbelievable.
Shawn, me, all of us, we watched every game of the White Sox, and I think watching what Jose Abreu has done, game in, game out, playing a really good first base, having a lot of clutch RBI, I think that stuff kind of weighs a little bit more. I don't know if the national voters that are going to, go to the ballot are necessarily watching Jose Abreu every day, but they are seeing Tim Anderson, show up on SportsCenter every night, just because of, he's obviously a little bit more flashy. Mentioned the batting title. That's gonna play on a national voting. So maybe Tim will just get a little bit more of the national votes, and that's kind of, I guess, where I differ, because I am watching every game and really have seen what Jose Abreu does. I don't think splitting it could be possible unless, Rob Manfred comes in and makes some new rules. But, we'll see, and Mike Trout's going to get a whole bunch of votes just because, people believe in WAR, and obviously he's the best player in baseball. But, I just hope a lot of people continue watching. What they're doing right now on the national spotlight against this Minnesota Twins in this series right now is really big. And Tim Anderson is the one kind of showing out right now. So I think that's why I think he's right on Abreu's heels and, and pushing forward.
Guys, he's Casey Boguslaw from FutureSox.com. Hey, great stuff, buddy. Do me a favor, let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
Yep, at Casey Boguslaw, just as it sounds. And I write at FutureSox.com. Check out all the good work at FutureSox.com. Thanks, guys.
Hey, great stuff, buddy. We'll be in touch soon.
See, what's interesting is this is what I love. The minute people start talking about the White Sox, what's the first name that almost walks out their mouth? Dane Dunning. Not Giolito. Dane Dunning. I'm just telling you.
The man could throw 2 perfect games in a row, and she'll continue to just stick that knife.
He'll continue to jab. He's got to show me more. So he got 2 perfect games. They're against Pittsburgh.
Okay, the question.
He still got 15.
The question. Am I wrong? Like
certain things, yeah.
Playoff time will tell.
No, I'm talking about Dane Dunning. Like when people
Dane Dunning? No.
People start talking. I mean, it's like they just like Dane Dunning. I'm just saying.
And your little jab at Cease, even though it was a jab, it's not fault. Yeah, you're like, no, it's what you said is he's better than Dane than he. I got it. No, you're not wrong by any stretch. You're not. It's just the way it's the tone, and that as well as anybody, Maya. Tone is everything.
I just think you're being in your feelings about
it.
There was a tone. Both those young guys. Actually, I love Dane Dunning more than Cease. To be honest with you, I love him, but I can just tell by the little jab. It's like he's better than Dane than Cease. I'm like, damn, Maya.
Well, I mean, the truth is generally emphatic. So with that being said, I just make sure you know where I'm coming from. You don't. Does she like Dane Dunning? No, absolutely. There's no question about it.
Where I made it crystal, Maya, crystal clear.
Yeah, crystal clear.
She had tone and sass in that whole thing.
You know, I don't know what I'm gonna do when I have to deal
with no Savage.
When I got to deal with Kopech and Dunning. I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. I'm gonna be beside myself.
You have to have a fan on you the whole game and everything.
I am. It's like this is like too much.
Ice water,
dude. I'm telling you, no.
Don't put him back-to-back games in the rotation.
Okay, that would be
2 days out of the week. Maya's got a fan and cold water, man, cold water.
You know, and that would just be too much to handle. I mean, mind you, Kopech has to come back and pitch and show us that he's still at that level. But I think he's probably chomping at the bit for it and watching. You can't tell me he's not sitting home right now, and I know he's going through some stuff. Going, I should have played. I mean, if you miss this season, let's just say they make it to the World Series,
win it. You know how much he's gonna hate his ex-wife at that point.
He already don't like her, and he's gonna be like, because of you missed out.
Yeah, he's gonna call her all kinds of names.
Not only did you didn't mess with my chicken, and now you didn't mess with my mentals, and I'm just not right. Just together.
Oh man,
he should have called Marshawn. Like, you need a pep talk. Call Marshawn.
He does. You know what? And there's still no word as of right now. There's no word that people can come back in because once you've opted out, you're done. So I know there had been some talk about maybe having some players if they wanted to opt back in for the playoffs. There was some talk about it, but nothing's official by any stretch. So
I don't know if I even would want him to opt back in.
Entertain that
because he hasn't gotten the pitches. He hasn't gotten the time. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't even want to take that risk because
to step into that atmosphere. Right. It's not a regular season game.
He'd have to be middle relief or bullpen at best. That would be the only way. And actually, if you threw him there, I don't know that I have a problem with it. But like Casey just said, the bullpen is actually pretty damn good even without him. And once you get Rodon and Bummer, they're going into the bullpen. You don't really need him, to tell you the truth, at this point.
Yeah. It's not a Schwarber situation, position players and pitchers are way different. And I think if you want them for your future, like we talked about, let them be the future.
Exactly. But he's going to be real pissed about the present. He's probably pissed about it right now. He can't tell me he's not watching these games. And it's just like, I can't believe
I'm talking to his friends on the team, texting his friends or talking to his boys on the team, you know what I mean? So, talking about, they're excited in this. And, when Dylan Cease throws a great game, he's hearing or texting, not that giving it to him, but they're just saying, hey, and as a teammate, and then Lucas Giolito, and then Dane Dunning, and all these guys having success, and he knows he should be right in the mix, competing for complete games and perfect and no hitters and stuff like that.
The thing I like about watching them is they're playing loose right now, and I like that they haven't gotten uptight. They haven't gotten so drawn into the fact that they're pretty much going to make a playoff run. They're still loose. Okay, Lewis Roberts, who taught you how to slide? They clowned him so bad. And I was like, thank you. And okay, Eloy, really, he's like,
oh, you laugh at me for falling in the net twice?
Look at that. They're just loose. And I love the fact that their energy is still, they're not like, it's not tightening up. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, we're going to make the playoffs. I think they're still playing at a high level, but I don't know if it's hit them yet, how serious this gets. You know what I mean?
And if they can keep it that way, then it's gonna bode well for them. The Cubs played like that in 15, 16.
They did.
I won't even say 17. They played like that. Then the pressure kept getting to them, and the pressure's going to arise because, what did they say a couple of times? The national media. Sox haven't had the national media on us since 05. You know what I mean? I'm not taking jabs at my guys, but that's the fact of the matter is that
we're very honest about ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
Very honest about ourselves.
National attention. And that can change when all of a sudden, Lewis Roberts starts getting all these endorsements, and Tim Anderson starts getting all these endorsements. Yoan Moncada starts getting all the endorsements. Eloy starts getting, when all that extra stuff comes in, the stuff beyond baseball, that's when things can go wrong. Well, listen, let's take a quick break. And the other side of the break, we have more sports conversations. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. The White Sox strengthened their hold on the American League Central with a 6-2 win over the Twins on Tuesday. Dane Dunning pitched 7 solid innings while Louis Robert had a key 2-run single. Dunning improved to 2-0. He gave up 1 earned run and 3 hits, striking out 7 and walking 2. Tim Anderson and James McCann homered as Chicago improved to 32 and 16. It was their 6th consecutive win. They moved 3 games ahead of second place Minnesota, which was the AL Central winner a year ago. 4-2, Lucas Giolito starts for the Sox tonight against Minnesota. Trailing 5-3 in the 9th, Wilson Contreras and Cameron Maybin plunked by consecutive pitches from Cleveland reliever Nick Whitgren, and the Cubs beat Cleveland 6-5 Tuesday. Javier Baez with a homer for the Cubs, who increased their lead to 5 games in the National League Central. John Lester starts tonight against Cleveland. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at boomernaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
I am Disinfector.
What's with him?
I told him flu shots gave us a superpower against germs.
CVS is your one-stop shop for immunity support, from hand wipes to vitamins that are third-party tested to confirm they meet our high standards.
Take that, germs.
Plus, get a $5 off $20 shopping pass when you get a free flu shot. Visit CVS today. No-cost flu shots with most insurance. Restrictions apply. Visit cvs.com and cvs.com/tested for details.
Whether class is in school, at home, or a little bit of both, school goes on.
And Staples has everything you need to start the year right.
From lap desks to notebooks, noise-canceling headphones to UV sanitizers.
And all at amazing prices. This week, pocket folders, comp books, and 4-ounce Elmer's glue are just 25 cents each.
Shop in-store or pick up curbside. School on, save on at Staples.
Ends 9/19. In-store only. Limit 6 while supplies last. Curbside available in most stores.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. We just got off with Casey Boguslaw from FutureSox.com. Good conversation with Casey, and you know, Maya, it's really tough, man. It's really tough to. That's funny, Maya. I see this comment you put for the fish, or Eloy. That's funny. It's really tough trying to stay even keeled. Thank you. There he is.
The thing about it is he looks like he enjoys it too much is the problem. But he's like so jovial. You know what I mean? That he's one of those guys that when you make fun of him, he just laughs. He might have the hardest laugh at laughing at himself than everybody else who's laughing at him. Exactly. Like he just looks like he's just like having a good time. And then when Abreu mocked him, that was even fun. That's what I'm saying. That fun. You know what I mean? Like they're loose and fun.
And they're acting like it. They're focused when they're at the plate and they're in the field, but everything in between plays, you saw they're even because they obviously they know a lot of other players throughout the league, and you saw who was it? Tim Anderson was at first base when he was just messing around with Sano, just messing around with each other, and just things like that just shows you how much fun they're having, and it's great to see. And hopefully it lasts, and hopefully it takes us deep into October, November if we go that far. But let's switch topics. The Bears. You weren't here Monday, so we definitely want to get your take. The Bears had Mitch Trubisky had a horrible 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden he looked like a first-round pick in that fourth quarter, bringing him back. And let's not get it twisted. We all understand if DeAndre Swift catches that ball, we're having a completely different conversation. But he didn't catch the ball. The Bears won. Mitch Trubisky led with 3 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter. Maya, are you still there? Because it looks like you're frozen. Yeah, Maya, looks like Maya's frozen. So you know what? I'm happy with Mitch in the fourth quarter. That touchdown that he threw to Anthony Miller was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That touchdown, that pass could not have been thrown better by any quarterback in the history of the NFL. That is the way that you do that.
Maybe it was a perfect.
No, not better. I'm just saying you could have other guys who could throw that pass, but it wasn't better. There's no one who could throw it better. She's back. She's here.
Well, I think what happened was you start talking about the Bears, and my connection was like,
no,
like no, not this. That first of all, I was literally disgusted that you're struggling against Detroit, but Detroit did do some upgrades, so I can't say they're not a better team than they were last year, so to speak. I got to give it to them; they were a better team. But if you're struggling against them, that's not a good look, so to speak. I wasn't surprised by the way they played. They looked flat, and I'll be honest, I was a bit more disappointed with the defense initially. They didn't seem aggressive. Matter of fact, they didn't even seem that interested to me. And I was like, this is not what I expected. I expected for there to be a slow start with the offense. But defensively, I was really shocked at how flat initially I thought they played. And then it seemed like, you're right, like the fourth quarter, everyone's like, oh, that's right, we're playing a first game of the season. We should all be here. We should be present. We should be playing. Don't get me wrong. Mitch had the big throw. And we know that he has that within his skill set. The problem is he can't do it consistently. So we still see those glaring, he can't read defenses. He's still struggling with that. I thought the line was relatively okay, like considering the situation, you know what I mean? It wasn't the best, but it's the first game of the season. So this is just how I looked at it. If I'm going to give Tom Brady a pass for not looking exceptional, then I'm going to give, I didn't expect for Mitch to step into this role this season and to be like the quarterback you expect, because I feel like he had a lot of pressure, not just to play well, because he knows his job is at stake. So with that being said, I was underwhelmed with his performance, but it's kind of what I expected. Now I'm looking to the second week to see, I don't want him to look like that. You know what I'm saying? We can't keep having these games where he can't play only for only one quarter. I need 4 quarters of football out of him. So I need the next game for him to play at a higher level than what we saw in this opening game against Detroit.
There was a lot of things left on the field that I didn't like about Mitch, especially in those first 3 quarters. Like we saw it was glaring. Like there was a few guys that were wide open that he didn't hit. He tried to force a couple balls. I think there was one over the middle where I think the safety came down, and at first I didn't know I thought it was a linebacker trying to undercut it, but the safety came down and almost picked that ball up if he doesn't trip and fall. You know what I mean? And it was like, what the hell is this? Is he going to ever get it together? And then all of a sudden, it's like, boom, something clicked, and he's just marching down the field playing unconscious. Like you have to and Mitch has said this so many times. He plays better when he's just balling. When he's just going out there and playing ball, he obviously thrives. So if you have some type of hurry up offense, lead with the hurry up offense. You like Shawn said, it's to ad nauseum. You have to put him in the best position to win. And I agree. You have to do it.
And it's not thinking, because when you give him time to think, bad things happen. That's the problem.
That's the issue, though, Maya. And Ivan, can you put him in a situation? You could run a hurry up offense all game, but the pressure is not going to be there in the first quarter than it is that's there in the fourth. Because in the fourth, you realize you got 15 minutes left and you're down 3 touchdowns. That's pressure. In the first quarter, what pressure? And this is why I'm very leery. What pressure can you put on him to make him feel that I got to score now? In the fourth quarter, when you're down 3 touchdowns, you have to score. You know there's no other option. But in the first quarter, I got the second, I got the first, I got the second, I got the third, I got the fourth. That's that mindset that's got to change for him, and I don't know if it has or will.
I mean, that threat of losing your job in game should be enough. You know what I'm saying? Like it's my thing is if you get them out going fast, right? You saw what they did. They put points on the board. They scored touchdowns. So if you could mimic that in the first, do that. Because you're not going to have to worry late in the games if you're up with a lead and you have a running game that actually is gaining yards, and you have a defense that can shut teams down. I know the defense had its own trouble, but if you start out with the lead instead of having to crawl back, it should fare better for you.
But on the flip side, I was like, what are the takeaways that are good? I was okay with the Jimmy Graham acquisition, and I liked it. I felt like he started out a little slow, but when he found his rhythm, kind of got in sync, I think they can get more from him. A lot of people are like, oh, he's old and he's slow. I said, dude, the game just started. I was like, give it time to kind of play out. It's different. Obviously I never played, but the bottom line is practicing is one thing, but real game time is obviously different. I said, so they still have to get in game, and that cohesion still has to happen. I'm saying, that chemistry. So, it was good to see, and I'm not surprised. Oh boy. Well, I mean, but look at the numbers.
Yeah.
I don't.
Numbers can be manipulated. You can look any way you want.
I always say numbers don't lie, and I'm with you. I'm like, but you can also use them to tell a different story. So it's something that to me is it's just they're very much at the crossroads. And I said, I guess here's a question you have to ask yourself. One, but back to I liked Jimmy Graham. I think Nagy likes the idea that now he has a tight end that he can actually use. You know what I mean? To make things easier for Allen Robinson, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Whoa, we haven't got to him yet. But go ahead.
Right, and the other pieces of the puzzle, but. I'm just going to say this. Mitch playing at this level, the Bears don't make the playoffs.
I mean, the first 3 quarters level and not the fourth quarter level, because the fourth quarter level, I'd argue.
But I'm just saying, but against good teams, this isn't going to fly. I mean, this was a mediocre team that challenged them. But I'm like, it's game 1. That's why I said I'd give him up to 3 games to show me that he's got to play better than this. Otherwise, they don't make the playoffs. The first half of their schedule is doable. You know what I mean? They got some doable games in there they should be winning. Okay, mission accomplished. It was an ugly win, but they still got it. You know what I mean? So now on to the next one to see how that goes. When you start playing those other teams, there are going to be some teams that are going to challenge them. So I'm like, in 3 games, if we keep seeing this same pattern of behavior, so are we going to go revert back to that same conversation? What is it? Is it Mitch or is it Nagy? Are we going to be asking ourselves this? So are we seeing another season where Nagy refuses to work to Mitch's strengths, and he's to the point now where it's like, either you can do what I need you to do, or I'm just going to put in the guy who can do it for me. Is that where we're going to be with this?
Yeah, Maya, I would say this. We're not going to know because I think Mitch is going to do enough to win the next 2 weeks, and the Bears are going to look. If the Bears are going to start out 3-0, I feel like in my heart of hearts, I feel like they could start out 3-0. But that Week 4 game against the Colts, that's going to be it. If Mitch cannot step up against a tougher team, against an actual contender, that's the telling sign. That he could beat the teams that he needs that you should beat, but he can't take you over the top.
Well, we don't know that because we haven't. Well, I guess we do know that, but this season is a little different. We'll see. Right. But I think you talking, going back to your point, Maya, about the defense. I agree with you, but you also have to remember there's no Eddie Goldman. Okay. They ran right through us. Adrian Peterson looked like he was back in his Vikings days, and they were running the ball, and that's a huge thing. So we're gonna have to see. So Bilal Nichols is gonna have to step his game up because if they're gonna continue to run the ball the way they did, then you're gonna have to allocate 1 extra man into that box, which means that secondary is a little more susceptible to big plays.
No, I agree.
So, yeah, and then the biggest thing that people forget, they're not in football shape. So when you're running the ball on you and you're getting that defense getting tired, it's gonna there's no preseason games. There's no conditioning at practice it's so different than, and they don't even condition because they're scared that they're gonna twist an ankle on a divot or something. So getting into football shape is so tough, and you're not gonna see teams get into football shape until week 3-ish, maybe 4. And then so you got a guy who's not as strong or as big as Eddie Goldman when you're talking Bilal Nichols. And he's just getting moved, and all of a sudden now he's getting winded, he's getting tired. And if you can control that nose guard, you control the running game. And you saw Adrian Peterson was lighting man, he was getting chunks. And I thought he has real estate license, dude. He was getting chunks and chunks of real estate all over us. I was like,
yes, he was. Yes, he was. So I mean, like I said, it's game 1, and that's why I don't try to make overstatements for what I saw, because like I said, there's all these factors that we have to take into consideration. Like you said, the conditioning, practices, and game time. So that's why I'm saying I feel like I can make a better assessment in game 3. All I know is in game 2, they better not regress. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Be consistent or better than where you were in week 1. I want to see progress moving forward because everybody has to make the adjustments.
The thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the things, I don't know if you saw, I got a text last night from a buddy of mine talking about Allen Robinson. You mentioned we said we hadn't talked about him, and now we're getting on him. So he and this is from Ian Rappaport this morning. He has taken down all mention of the Bears on there it is, the tweet. It says from Good Morning Football, wide receiver Allen Robinson is frustrated over the state of his contract negotiations, but he has not asked for a trade yet. And this is coming, this is a tweet from Ian Rappaport at Good Morning Football or ESPN. So let me tell you, that's not a good thing. This guy is, you look at, and I feel for Allen Robinson. Okay, when you're the two quarterbacks in your freaking career have been Blake Bortles and Mitch Trubisky. Let me repeat that: the two quarterbacks in your career have been Blake Bortles and Mitch Trubisky, and you still had 3 1,000-yard seasons in them. Imagine if you're playing with a more competent quarterback. There was, I don't know if you saw I retweeted it yesterday. Our guy Lauren Cox posted a funny video. If you haven't, you guys got to check it out. It's Cox Sports One. It's like Fox Sports One, but with a C. If you check it out on Twitter, check it out. And it was like those commercials for the kids in the third world countries. If you'd like to help a suffering wide receiver, donate here. He goes, we'll send you a game ball, and we're gonna send it to the wrong address so you too can know what it feels like to be Allen Robinson. The ball doesn't arrive where it's supposed to go.
This is not the time for this. This is not the time to be distracted. Like, this is the kind of stuff to me that you really should have taken care of. So, like, now we're gonna have this distraction. I mean, I feel this way about both of them. I feel this way about Allen. I feel this way about the Bears. Like, why are we doing this right now? You had all this time leading up to the season starting to address this. So whether it was Allen Robinson's representation saying, like, we'd really like to get this squared away before the season starts so we can be focused on this and not my mind being on this. Okay, but here it comes, because Allen Robinson knows his value to the team. So now if I'm disenchanted and not playing at this level, I mean, it's just, there's no time for this. They need to resolve this and move on. Because clearly he's your best receiver.
Part of the issue with that is that they don't know, they're not sure of the salary cap for next year. Okay, when because if you're allowed to have fans in toward the end of the year, okay, that changes the structure and how much I need to find out exactly about that salary cap, because if it goes down, so now you have to make business decisions, and they know that. I mean, they're not dumb. He has his representation. They get it. If your salary cap is stagnated, or if it goes down, if it gets smaller, you can't give somebody a huge contract, because now you can, but now you got to take all the moving pieces and say, okay, who do I need to get rid of in order to get this guy who we need his money? Okay, because if you don't and you just give them the big money, it starts next year. Okay, then you're going to have to cut some people that you don't want to cut. And here's where you have to look at it. And I believe personally, they just need to say, okay, they can do one of two things. They say, okay, wait, here's the situation. Explain it to them, which I'm sure they have. Okay, or two, if you sign them, make sure that money his new deal doesn't start next year. It starts the following season when the salary cap should be back to normal, or at least increased to, because we're hoping fans will be back in 2021.
It's just the timing of it's not good, Shawn.
No, it's not.
That's just what it comes down to. It's like you had all this time when nothing was going on to argue about this crap, and now you want to do it now, knowing that people were waiting for for football. I feel sorry for Bear fans. I really do, because if it's not one thing, it's something else. There's always something that's an issue. Can they ever be a team that's not a hot mess? Can they ever be a team that's not a hot mess? And like I said, I kind of feel this way about both of them, about him and them. And I get why they're not trying to do something. But my thing is, okay, to you, Shawn, is he worth making sure this is taken care of now? Do you see him as an integral part of what they need to have on their offense moving forward?
Yep.
Well.
Yep, I do. And
here's another question.
That's too young, so hell yeah.
Is there anything respectfully you feel is expendable that's going to help them to, be at their salary cap situation? Probably. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Whatever. I'm over them, period. You know how I feel about the Bears at this point. That's why I'm just still hanging up north for a while, because I'm like, it's always a hot mess with them. And it's like, I'm like, fans are like, are you serious? We're going to do this right. And even Allen Robinson, we're going to do this right now. Like, right now, we're going to do this. Really. And
here's the thing, is like, you could be frustrated with it, and that's fine. Okay, but to do all that's today's athlete. Okay.
Yes.
I'm pouty, I'm mad, so I'm going to take everything down. I'm not going to say anything. Okay, but then obviously all the questions are asked. This is business. This is your business. Don't make it public. Don't make it. Are you negotiating through the media? Is that what you're trying to do through social media?
Yes.
Then you know what? Then and I think that's very childish because you have a representation, and again, I guarantee you they've talked with him about it. They're not just going to not say anything because his representation has called them and asked them already. They have, all right. They talked about it. They weren't close. They weren't. So they've already had conversations. You have to understand the landscape of the NFL. This is not a normal season. If it was a regular season and they hadn't extended them, then I'd be all over the Bears. Like, yeah, you're just playing stupid,
right?
Okay? But it's all about the money, and you have to look at the salary cap next year. Okay, where are we going to go? Because we need to sign other people as well.
And that's the thing. That's the part that's annoying about this is that this conversation could have happened. I don't like his response. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can be all Marshawn Lynch about this. I get it. But I don't like the way that he's handling it. But this is the problem with the current climate of social media. People use that as their bargaining chip, so to speak. It becomes a bad reflection on the organization. But I'm going to tell you, it's a bad reflection on you too, Allen Robinson, because you're putting your business out there that I don't go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Go to work. That's my thing. It isn't like you're playing broke. It isn't like you're not making millions of dollars already, especially in the current climate where some people aren't working, don't have jobs. You know what I'm saying? Not to say just it doesn't have to be like this. I'm not saying behind closed doors you're not working on stuff, things aren't happening, but that's not necessary to me, the action that he took. That's just how I feel. It's unnecessary.
You know, he's making about 13 this year.
I mean, just peanuts.
Sorry. Yeah. So he's making 13. He's making 12.9. He's making 12.9 million a year.
So, you know, it's the only thing for 16 appearances, you're making that kind of money that this monkey team probably won't even make it to the playoffs. So your season will be done early. And you're sitting here whining and crying. How about you put up numbers that makes them want to pay you, that makes them say, we got to get Allen resigned. You know what I'm saying? Like, increase your marketability, not just for them, give yourself leverage. But no, we got to be all, whiny about it.
I think Allen, I mean, when it comes down to his performance, I think you have to look at, like you said, his quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? Like he's in a contract year. He's got to play for this contract. But
right.
I don't like like you said, Maya, I don't like the fact that you went on, deleted all this, do a temper tantrum, and we're like, Twitter's gonna give me my money because everybody's gonna make a big deal about it. Like I don't like that either. Like you're taking away from the team. Like you're being a distraction from a team who struggled in game one of your season. But like that's just to me it's like it's I don't know, it's detrimental to everybody.
But the other piece is that the Bigs reported is that and allegedly asked for a trade.
Right.
Yeah, that was Brad Biggs from the trip, allegedly. But then now we're getting from Ian Rappaport, and he is saying that he didn't ask for a trade. So
okay. Well, allegedly means we don't know. It was could be. So allegedly is a key word in that statement.
See, and then you got Allen when he came in. He was like, "I want to retire a Bear." Like he said it so many times. I want to retire a Bear, and we've heard it so many times. So cliche to hear from players. I'm like, don't give me that. Don't feed me that, and then come here and do this. Don't feed me you want to retire a Bear, and then come here week 2 of the NFL season and start, either whether he did or didn't request it. I mean, if he didn't, then it's a whole different story. But if he did request a trade, then I mean, you're being a problem right now. You're being detrimental to the success of the team. I feel like
you're shifting the focus where it doesn't need to be right now.
If you want to be a Bear, then you go about it. That's something that doesn't need to be dragged and brought into the forefront. Okay, the only way it comes to the forefront is if you bring it there, because the Bears aren't going to talk about it. Okay, the only time the Bears are going to talk about it is like, yeah, we're looking to get him extended. Period. Which tells you that that's going to get done. Okay, but for you, just say, hey, you know what? Let me go handle my business. Let me go do this. Let me get my representation. Okay, we'll do it. We'll handle it. And when it's all said and done, so what's the difference now? So what if he's throwing his temper tantrum now? And what if in 3 weeks they get an extension done? You know what I mean?
But then we're supposed to forget that he had a tantrum. Because this is how this generation of players are. We're supposed to behave like, oh, he didn't go on Twitter and take all the pictures of Bears down like he broke up with them. Like it's immature. It's just it's very childish.
high schoolish.
A man of this age behaving like this, I was like, dude, you are so petty. I mean, not to mention that the Bears took a gamble on you when they brought you here that they didn't know what you would be. We had to like bring you here predicated on what you had done previous to your injuries. And what had he been out of football like for a year and a half, something like that, a year before, so we didn't
ACL, yeah.
We didn't know exactly what to expect of you. So there was a risk factor they took with bringing you here. So I'm like, how about you guys just work together? So it turns out you played at a high level. Great. And obviously they want you. But my thing is, this existed before the season started. So I'm just pissy. Like, why are you doing this now? Why is it a bigger issue now that the season started than opposed to before?
It didn't have to be this way. He made it this way by doing all that. You know what? Handle your business. Just negotiate. Keep it in silence, in private. And just make the announcement. Because if you don't sign it, you're making that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
Relax, okay? If the Bears don't sign you, guess what? Somebody else will.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it's like
you're one of very few people in the world that could go ahead and run an NFL route, and you know what I'm saying, and catch it. You know what I'm saying?
Here's my thought on it. You know what? Don't even worry about it. Go out there, play your game, because it just makes you more marketable. And you might say, you know what, these Buster Browns, I kind of want to leave here. And now you got an exit because you know what? You didn't sign that contract. So this could be very advantageous for him if he's like, they're still in disarray with trying to get their stuff together here. Like quarterback stuff, the head coach doesn't, you know what I'm saying? You can still have an out and be like, let me think about if I really want to be here, or do I want to take my talents to a place that I could actually win a championship? So he should really sit back in the cut and use this opportunity for self-reflection about his future in regards to winning, because he can probably still command the dollars in other places. You know what I mean? If he can play at a high level. So I was like, why are you creating angst about it? This might be the best thing for you not to overcommit to a team that clearly has not gotten it figured out. People can never see the other side, like the silver lining of anything.
No, it's all about perspective. It's all about perspective. And again, you may not. What did Moose Muhammad say? This is the place where wide receivers go to die. You don't call except for Jeff Graham.
Moose Muhammad sure did say that.
You know what I mean? Jeff Graham. Only good wide receivers that I can remember in our time were. I mean, I don't want to go back to '85, but Jeff Graham and Curtis Conway when they had Eric Kramer. That was pretty much it. Any other wide receivers, there's no wide receivers. They don't say, "Wow, Chicago's my destination. I can't wait to go there and play in that offense." No,
but I think it was because everybody up until now, coaching wise, stuck with the Bears' identity, which was they were a running team. This is why if you were a wide receiver, you knew your touches were going to be minimal for years because the Bears were a defense and a running team. That was their identity. Well, now they're trying to have that shift to kind of be like the rest of the NFL, which I don't have a problem with, to strike the balance. So Nagy does want to throw the ball. So it doesn't mean that you have to die here. But what's the biggest issue in the equation? We don't have the proper delivery. We don't have that guy. Unfortunately, right? We don't have a delivery guy. That's the problem. So even if you've got the skill sets, unfortunately, Mitch is not at this currently. It's just not the right fit. So you do have a coach that wants to throw the ball. There's no doubt about it. You don't have a guy to throw it.
We got to take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, with Russell Baxter. Mine's all pumped up. The guy Russell Baxter coming up, so don't go anywhere, folks. He is an NFL historian. We're going to get his take on the Bears and different news around the NFL. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Russell Baxter coming up next right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. The White Sox strengthened their hold on the American League Central with a 6-2 win over the Twins on Tuesday. Dane Dunning pitched 7 solid innings while Luis Robert had a key 2-run single. Dunning improved to 2-0. He gave up 1 earned run and 3 hits, striking out 7 and walking 2. Tim Anderson and James McCann homered as Chicago improved to 32 and 16. It was their 6th consecutive win. They moved 3 games ahead of second place Minnesota, which was the AL Central winner a year ago. 4-2, Lucas Giolito starts for the Sox tonight against Minnesota. Trailing 5-3 in the 9th, Wilson Contreras and Cam Cameron Maben plunked by consecutive pitches from Cleveland reliever Nick Whitgren, and the Cubs beat Cleveland 6-5 Tuesday. Javier Baez with a homer for the Cubs, who increased their lead to 5 games in the National League Central. John Lester starts tonight against Cleveland. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at boomernaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
I am Disinfector.
What's with him?
I told him flu shots gave us a superpower against germs.
CVS is your one-stop shop for immunity support, from hand wipes to vitamins that are third-party tested to confirm they meet our high standards.
Take that, germs.
Plus, get a $5 off $20 shopping pass when you get a free flu shot. Visit CVS today. No-cost flu shots with most insurance. Restrictions apply. Visit cvs.com and cvs.com/tested for details.
Whether class is in school, at home, or a little bit of both, school goes on.
And Staples has everything you need to start the year right.
From lap desks to notebooks, noise-canceling headphones to UV sanitizers.
And all at amazing prices. This week, pocket folders, comp books, and 4-ounce Elmer's glue are just 25 cents each.
Shop in-store or pick up curbside. School on, save on at Staples.
Ends 9/19. In-store only. Limit 6 while supplies last. Curbside available in most stores.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago on this Hump Day edition. And let me tell you, while we're waiting for Russell Baxter to hop on with us, you know, give me some of your thoughts about the other news around the NFL. Tom Terrific down in Tampa and New Orleans. 2 tutties, 2 picks. Mm-hmm. As New Orleans says, hold on, player. We run the South. We run the South.
I didn't, again, week 1. I didn't look at it and say, oh my God, see, Tom Brady's not what you think. I don't think that about him at all, because he has to make the adjustments to a whole new offense, team. Again, practice is one thing. Game time is different when you're playing, against defenses. I personally felt with all the changes in place, granted, he made some mistakes. I don't expect to see that moving forward. I think they're just that adjustment period, so to speak. Tampa Bay has a lot of talent. So I didn't think that his performance was, it didn't wow us. I think people were expecting like Brady of old, but this is not the same team. So I was okay overall. And the Saints should have played at that level because they're the same team. You know what I mean? They're accustomed. They're in sync. So, what you kind of say, hate to have that as your first game of the season, so to speak, no matter who you are. So I don't have a problem with Tom's performance. I think it gets better. Tampa Bay is going to be a team to deal with. Let's just be honest. They are. You can try to tell yourself they're not going to be, but they're going to be. So I don't have a problem with this performance overall. I saw more hiccups than anything else.
You can definitely tell they weren't on the same page.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It was.
He would be throwing with the ball. I'm throwing the ball where you're supposed to be. Timing. Those timing routes, opposed to I'm going to throw because I'm throwing it to you. You know what I mean? And you're right. I saw that a couple times where Tom was like, I thought he was going to be right there right now.
His first pick was.
You were like, what was that?
Mike Evans cut his route. He stopped his route. So that's where you can see the disconnect there. And you're just like, oh, man. And, Tom gets it. Tom didn't. Like, if it was in New England, Tom would have ripped the dude a new one. But, he don't have the chemistry. They don't have they're not on the same page. So it's understandable. I know he hated it. Even in the press game, he's like, I lost plenty of games before. He goes, I won't let it bother me. But you can tell he was seething underneath because, Tom Brady's as competitive as anybody in the NFL. And he wanted to go, especially since New England won, he wanted to have a week 1 victory as well. So I agree with you. Once these guys get on the same page, if you looked, don't forget you had Leonard Fournette in there as well, who just got signed a week or two ago. There's sometimes when Tom checked out of something, Leonard Fournette would, they showed it, he's like, what do I do? What do I do? So you're not in sync with that offensive line. You're not in sync with all the plays. You're not. So it's just going to take time. So I think the week 4, 5, and 6, I think is when you see Tampa Bay is going to start off. Talk to me about the other new quarterback, the guy who replaced Tom Terrific in New England, Cam Newton. 2 rushing touchdowns. leads the New England Patriots, to a Week 1 victory. And don't talk about his suit. We'll talk about that later.
I was like, what? Okay. I don't know who his stylist is. These young cats, these new cats. I'm like, I would not walk out the house with him like that. I'm just going to say that. I'm like, where are you going?
That bright yellow suit.
And the shoes. I was like, little by little, I realize that I'm becoming an older person because I look at stuff that people do. I'm like, that looks okay. Overall, I think Cam looked good. I think the change in scenery was so much needed for him. I do believe the humbling of how people just didn't swarm to get him. He had a chip on his shoulder, and he played like he had a chip on his shoulder. You know what I mean? Mind you, I still say Boston, New England is a difficult place to play in. And trust me, they're enjoying this new success. And, it's interesting because I found that I think Josh Daniels is kind of enjoying this because he has a different type of quarterback. And I think for him, he's like, I can open up my playbook in a way that I never could have done it with Brady. And that's not I'm not throwing any shade at Tom Brady because I like him, but let's be honest, Cam and Tom are two different people when it comes to quarterbacking. And there was like something about, I felt like Josh Daniels like lit up like a Christmas tree. Seriously. Yep. I was watching him on the sideline and they seemed to work well together. Cam seemed to be listening, dialed in. So overall, I was very happy with his performance. I do believe it does give New England. Ooh-wee, that's wrong. That is so wrong right there, but it's funny. Okay, right now
it's so on point.
But it's so on point. I'm sorry, somewhere a Patriot fan right now might be cringing only until they keep winning. Then they're going to embrace that. But right now, that's not very New England like at the moment. But they're going to embrace that as time goes on. So I felt he was playing with a chip on his shoulder. He wanted to show people that he could still be that quarterback that we had known for years, that MVP type. The only thing I take exception is I don't know if his focus is exactly where it should be because he kind of got into like a little bit of argument with again, here comes social media, people not acting their age, and he made a comment about something about he was wearing chains or something, and I guess he was trying to say they were trying to take his chains.
Yeah,
and he was like, man, okay. Then they started having this. I'm like, Cam, focus on winning. Focus on, what I'm saying? Keep your focus where it needs to be. Stay off of social media because to me, I think it would be really easy to be distracted, so to speak. I think he could get very distracted very quickly because I still, for some reason, think he's like not exactly playing with a full complement of cards. Just something about him. I think there's a stress. I feel like there's a stressor he had at some point that really broke him down, and he has struggled with it for a while. After they made that Super Bowl appearance, things kind of went sideways. You know what I mean? I think he really had
the Super Bowl was sideways.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I feel like that's funny. Okay, see, people have already fallen in love. Can I share that Patriot Cam Newton pick? You sure can, because it's funny. I feel like he had a break, like a nervous breakdown. I'm serious. The game, how he behaved after, and I felt like his career really started to take a turn for the worse, and then he had injuries behind it. So I feel like he's in a better space, but I think he needs to tread lightly because as quickly as they love you in Boston, if this doesn't go how it should go, you know what I mean? Things could go poorly and they could become really critical of him.
Oh, they'll hate you faster than they love you in Boston. That's for sure, especially someone of that melanin tone. So, as long as you're performing and winning titles for them, they'll love you.
Because this is kind of a first. New England is used to running backs and receivers and all other players on the field possibly being people of color, except for that position. So I will say I felt from a historic standpoint for a team, because I'm gonna be honest, Boston's not the friendliest place. From a minority standpoint, I'm not gonna lie. I was just like, whoa, wow. And I'm a very even keel person, but I could feel I was like, oh wow, these people are not very nice here. But when it comes to sports, especially, they're really critical about certain things. It was important that he have a good performance because if he didn't, that would have been a bad look for him and they would have been all over him critically. Yeah,
definitely. Talk about that Cowboys game, the Cowboys-Rams game Sunday night. And you know what? The controversial offensive pass interference call, even on the next morning, quarterback Dan Orlovsky said it was offensive pass interference. Rex Ryan said it wasn't pass interference. Jason just went ham. And And to me, my thought was it was a horrible call. There was some separation, but it was jockeying, and they were both doing things wrong. So if they're both, put it at that stage of the game, unless it's a face mask or a specific or something just that blatant, then you make the call. But other than that, they're fighting for position. Jalen Ramsey was holding his arm as he's running. Okay, and so if he's holding his arm, he extends it because now he gets separation. So to try and alleviate or try and get him off him, and then he had the little LeBron, fake, the little flop type deal, and that's where they drew the penalty. And I think that was, they stole that game. I think the Cowboys should have won, but I mean, I always have when the Cowboys lose because there's too many Cowboy fans. But I still think that they should have. The Cowboys should have at least got down and been able to kick a field goal.
Can I, okay, so we always say that one play can't make the game. But the crazy thing about football is one play actually can make the game. One bad call, one bad play can totally shift the momentum in football in a way that it seems like in other sports, it doesn't have exactly that same, kind of shift, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I do agree with you exactly how you kind of called the play. I kind of felt the same way about it. I was like, okay, this is the first game. But when I was seeing, I kind of felt it was unfair. But here's the thing: you can't cry over spilled milk, and it was a close game. But can I tell you something? I thought that was a really boring game.
Yeah.
I was really super just struggling to watch it. I was like, why is this game so just not drawing me in? Why is it not so interesting? I watched all kind of other games. I mean, I watched, obviously the first, with the Chiefs and the Texans, but for some reason in this game, I just wasn't as interested.
Because you got two old quarterbacks, and you've seen this show before. Like you've seen this before. We want the new stuff. I want Lamar versus Deshaun. I want Deshaun versus.
Well, Dak and they're not that old.
That's why it's that's why it's kind of boring. Because I think that age has finally caught up to both Tom and Drew. That's why.
We're talking. No, it's the wrong game.
Dallas.
That game was pretty boring myself.
Good comeback. I was like, they're not old. What are you talking about?
My bad.
It was boring, but it was. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, it was flat. It was boring. It misflashed to me. I don't. And the thing is, looking at those two teams, I guess I kind of expected a little bit more, so to speak, from it. But I was just underwhelmed with it. But that play, I agree with you. But at the same time, one play cannot make a game. But in football, we see it happen all the time. I mean, especially with, if it's a blowout, then it's that play doesn't mean as much. You know what I mean? But when you talk about literally a 3-point difference, that's a huge deal. So I could see being upset about it. But, it is what it is.
Yeah, it bugged me because that you know what that reminded me of? That is similar to pitch framing. I hate it. I hate it. Okay. When you snatch a ball back into the zone or you move your wrist to bring the ball back in the zone, if you have to do that, the ball's not in the zone. Okay. Because how many times have you seen a ball right down the middle and they move it? They don't. They leave it there because it's in the zone. So it bugs me, pitch framing, just like flops bug me in all other sports. And I didn't think you could flop in football. I guess you could. If someone hits you can fall down. But I never thought a defensive back could flop like that when you're chasing a receiver. And you know what? That to me, that was just that was a blown call. And then the ref doubled down on it, saying something. Well, we're going to make that call all the time. Like, whoa, why would you make that call all the time when it was the wrong call? So he said here, Tony Correnti, the head officials for the Rams game. He said, I can tell you it was clear and obvious on the field of a hand into the opposing player, a full arm extension that created separation. In all situations, that would be called. We're not going to allow that at any time of the game. Full jive. Full jive.
Well, I guess you know what? Everybody around the NFL was put on notice that, I thought that was too much, but they've been put on notice that they're not going to let that fly. So be it. Maybe they think it's going to spread COVID. I don't know. But I kind of peeped in a lot of different games. So like I said, I think I'm kind of like the matchups I was paying attention to obviously was, Chiefs and Texans, but I also paid close attention to the Cardinals 49ers game.
That was a good one too. Yep.
because we there were a comment was made by I want to say, I don't want to lie, it might have been the defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator of the Cardinals, I can't remember. That Kyler Murray was better than Lamar Jackson, and I was like, really? I was like, now mind you, this is year 2 with Lamar. This is where we get a litmus test. You know what I'm saying? People are more prepared for you in year 2 than they were in year 1. You know what I mean? So I'm really interested to see how he's going to overall perform. But I wasn't looking to be critical of Kyler Murray. To me, it was about Jimmy Garoppolo, because there's so many question marks that he's really not that good. And you talk about, can the 49ers, make the kind of run they made last year? And I think Garoppolo is going to really be under the microscope, so to speak.
He was, and it was Garoppolo is an enigma to me, because there are times when I see him and he's like, wow, he's everything people hype him up to be, and then there are times where he just looks overwhelmed, and it's interesting that dichotomy. Like you see that from Mitch, like you don't see it from somebody who's got so much hype. Like the fourth quarter, Mitch looked great. First 3 quarters, you're like, get this bum off my screen. Not even out of the game. Get him off my screen. And there are times when Garoppolo does that, and I think that inconsistency is going to be the downfall of this 49er team. I hope he can play at a consistent level, because if he can, I think this 49er team can advance pretty far like they did last year. But I don't know if I can trust him to be consistent. I don't know. He was anointed the Golden Boy, so. He was anointed the Golden Boy, so I don't know.
But maybe so. Remember, a lot of things come from hype from the Patriots, but it always doesn't necessarily matriculate the same way. This is why I think watching Tom outside of the Patriot system is going to be interesting, because he thrived in it. He grew up in it. You know what I mean? Now let's see if his natural ability is what we think it is with another team. So Garoppolo, we saw him in that Patriot system, and it was dynamic. It was great. You know what I'm saying? People loved it. So he gets taken in by the 49ers, entirely different team, system, etc. You know what I mean? And then we don't see the consistency or what we expect him to be. His hype comes from the Patriots, not so much from the time he's had with the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo does not have an arm to me. Like he's not like, he can't launch that deep ball. I mean, I'm not saying he can throw and he's accurate, but he's not, you know what? When we talk about, I'm going to say this, people like, Maya, no way. Just talk about it. Nick Foles is not a game manager, but he's also not a playmaker. He falls into that gray area. You know what I'm saying? He's better than a game manager, but he's not going to be balling off the field. And, he's not going to be like how Cam looked or even a Drew Brees, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? But he's somewhere in that strange area that we don't know exactly what to call you. Garoppolo, to be honest, is probably the same type of player. He's better than a game manager, but he's clearly not a big playmaker. He falls in that gray area. And to be honest, in that gray area, I believe there's levels. There's even levels in that gray area. You know what I'm saying? The high-end gray player, the low-end gray player. And I think he's not as good. I've never looked at Jimmy Garoppolo one time outside of actually just looking at him and going, wow. But his game, I've looked at him like, ooh, yeah. But him and his game, I've never looked at him and said, wow, I think he's like an elite quarterback. I've never thought that about him, ever.
You know what? It's funny. I thought he could, but I hadn't seen him realize it yet. I hadn't seen him live up to that. He had a couple of games here or there, and you can't go off a couple of games. You have to go off of a season or two, because you can't even go off of one season. You know what I mean? Like there's people have one good season and that's it. And you never hear from them again. And so. I don't know. He just needs to be more. I hope he doesn't believe the hype of the Jimmy Garoppolo hype, because if he does, then that could be it. But I don't know. I'm just not a big. I'm okay with him, but I'm not a big gung ho fan of Jimmy G. Everyone talks about, well, he trained under Tom Brady and this and this. I'm like, yeah, but he's still not Tom Brady. He's still his own player. He's still got to go out there and make the calls, and against different teams and in different circumstances. So I don't know. I'd like for him to do better. He's a local product. I always like when Chicagoland area kids are get to the big league, the show, and And no, we can't. You're on mute.
I had to block out the cat action in the background. Eastern Illinois, like Tony Romo, right? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep. So actually a good friend of mine, her sister is married to his roommate, his college roommate, and so they went to his wedding. They said they used to hang out with Jessica Simpson when he was dating her for a while, and then he went to the wedding when he married that Dallas sports reporter. Actually, that's Romo. Sorry, Tony Romo.
I was like, wait a minute. I was like,
Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm thinking Eastern.
I was like, he like old women. I was like, he like old women like that. I was like, oh. Okay.
Well, you mentioned Tony Romo when I went.
I know. In your mind went that way. Right. Gotcha.
So looking forward to this week against the Giants. The Giants are another horrible team. The Giants are.
We said that about Detroit too.
But Saquon Barkley didn't have a good game. This could be the Achilles heel. If you realize that Eddie Goldman's gone and you can run up the middle of that defense, it doesn't matter if a team sucks or not. If they have a decent run game, that could really, it's all about matchups. If that's what you bring in that we're deficient in, that could really do a number on the Bears this season.
Well, you can look at it this way. You're not looking at a quarterback that can overwhelm you necessarily defensively. In fact, you may have an opportunity to get the best of him, putting a lot of pressure on him. I mean, I'm looking at it that way because, but the Giants might be saying the same thing. So real talk about Mitch. Even I would say Mitch is better than Jones. I feel he's better than him. But it'll be interesting because you're right. Saquon didn't have a good game, but then I feel like he's going to feel like I got to make up for that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's the expectation that from an offensive standpoint, okay, the Giants probably still identify, would you not say, as a running team? They've never shifted from that identity, right? Now, I wish I had Kevin Loder on, who's one of the smoke fellas, because he's a Giants fan. I'm just saying when I watch them, because I don't dig deep into their roster, it seems to me they've been consistently sticking with their run team. You know what I mean? And obviously with I feel like the Giants honestly have been in this transitional piece for a couple of years, even when they had Eli. When he was towards the end of his career, the hardest thing they were trying to figure out was how to have that separation. You know what I mean? How to move past him. And the sad part was they didn't have his heir apparent in place.
No.
So they just were like riding high on Eli. It's like, but at some point you need someone behind him. And they weren't prepared for when it was time to sever that relationship. So not only are they deficient at the quarterback, so to be honest, if you can shut down their run game and force them to have to pass, I feel like it's a good day, for Ivan dives deep for these memes. He goes,
yeah.
Okay, and that's a bad look. That's a bad look. So again, I picked the Bears to beat Detroit. I picked the Bears to beat the Giants. I feel like they should have a better game defensively because this is very opportune for them. At the same time, Mitch can have a good game. You know what I mean? He can take a step forward because he's not going to be challenged the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm feeling like this should be not a gimme. Every NFL game is work because you're playing pro players. But this should be a more impressive win than last week. Would you not say?
I hope I'm anticipating it. Yeah. I'm anticipating it. And then with you getting into football shape, 2, getting on the same page with the receivers, I think, I think it should be. I'm expecting a much cleaner, a much crisper game from Mr. Trubisky in this offense. So we'll find out. Well, listen, we got to take one more break, the last break of the show. So don't go anywhere, folks. More sports conversation coming up. Don't go anywhere. Leave it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. The White Sox strengthened their hold on the American League Central with a 6-2 win over the Twins on Tuesday. Dane Dunning pitched 7 solid innings while Luis Robert had a key 2-run single. Dunning improved to 2-0. He gave up 1 earned run and 3 hits, striking out 7 and walking 2. Tim Anderson and James McCann homered as Chicago improved to 32 and 16. It was their 6th consecutive win. They moved 3 games ahead of second place Minnesota, which was the AL Central winner a year ago. 4-2 Lucas Giolito starts for the Sox tonight against Minnesota. Trailing 5-3 in the 9th, Wilson Contreras and Cam Cameron Maben plunked by consecutive pitches from Cleveland reliever Nick Whitgren, and the Cubs beat Cleveland 6-5 Tuesday. Javier Baez with a homer for the Cubs, who increased their lead to 5 games in the National League Central. John Lester starts tonight against Cleveland. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at boomernaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
I am Disinfector.
What's with him?
I told him flu shots gave us a superpower against germs.
CVS is your one-stop shop for immunity support, from hand wipes to vitamins that are third-party tested to confirm they meet our high standards.
Take that, germs.
Plus, get a $5 off $20 shopping pass when you get a free flu shot. Visit CVS today. No-cost flu shots with most insurance. Restrictions apply. Visit cvs.com and cvs.com/tested for details.
Whether class is in school, at home, or a little bit of both, school goes on.
And Staples has everything you need to start the year right.
From lap desks to notebooks, noise-canceling headphones to UV sanitizers.
And all at amazing prices. This week, pocket folders, comp books, and 4-ounce Elmer's glue are just 25 cents each.
Shop in-store or pick up curbside. School on, save on at Staples.
Ends 9/19. In-store only. Limit 6 while supplies last. Curbside available in most stores.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. Man, we've had a good show to this point. Joseph Phillips, our guy, and Casey Boguslaw. Good sports conversation. One of the things I wanted to ask you talk to you about is this Saturday. Okay, we just got the news this morning, that the Big Ten is going to resume play on October 24th. Well, the state of Illinois right now is one of the few states in the country that is not allowing fall sports. Every state that borders Illinois is allowing high school sports or fall sports. Remember, some of the parents sued the Big Ten for suing the Big Ten for damaging or hurting their future earnings of their children. Guys are going to go to the NFL or possibly go to the NFL. But they have a big rally this Saturday. They're having it at 2 places. It's at in Springfield, and the other place is here in Chicago at the State of Illinois building. I didn't put that up for me, please. And they're if you want the kids to play, they'll be there. You can go. They want you to call your local representative. You see right there on the screen, it says call your state representative, which is like Napoleon Harris, who was on What's Up Cuz the other day. Bring your mask, bring an appropriate sign. Don't say your mama's a hoe or something like that. You can't say anything like that. They want that up. If you support the cause, it'll be here at 100 West Randolph on Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 to 11, I believe. Your thoughts on that? Because in today's paper, in the Chicago Sun-Times today, Governor Pritzker laughed. He's like, "You can protest all you want." He goes, "It's free. It's a free country." He goes, "It ain't happening. It is not happening." Governor Pritzker has said unequivocally that it's not happening. Your thoughts?
First of all, by now, those of us that reside in the state of Illinois, we realize it sucks. Not just because of COVID, just lots of other reasons. Again, I don't think it should be one size fits all. It is about safety. Generally, it's about safety. I mean, I think we've seen only one college athlete casualty so far related to COVID. To me, you should say because you're talking about the Big Ten, so you're only talking about 2 schools in the state, obviously, Northwestern and Illinois. You know what I mean? So the question would be, before you just say no, because we know high schools, grade schools, we know they cannot necessarily, they don't have the revenue to protect the students. You know what I'm saying? They don't have that. So I get it, even though I think at some point it should be a parental choice, because some parents just would not let their children play. You know what I mean? they'd say, no, you're not playing. Some parents would be like, you can play. I mean, because some people think this has gone too far. They want the herd immunity thing. So they would just let their kids go play and cross their fingers that they don't get COVID, come home and infect the whole family, whatever. But in terms of the school, before you just say no, and because remember, and reopening up the state, remember he kind of put special criteria in certain counties. Like Will County is one of the counties that got hit because the numbers were starting to spike. So remember, he said he went back to no gatherings more than 25 people, but he didn't institute that through the whole state because every county wasn't having the same problem. You know what I'm saying? So I think you need to put your thinking cap on the same way about sports and other things. So if the Big Ten could bring him a plan to say, here's our plan to keep these students safe, you know what I'm saying? And it makes sense, then I think he should be more open-minded, just like he was with businesses, allowing them to still operate and say, have outside dining. This is why people are eating food in parking lots, which I think is ridiculous. I don't want nothing that bad. I'm sitting in somebody's parking lot to eat. That's just me, though. But they allow people.
I got to tell you something after this.
Because first of all, I was like, what's the sanitation on that? But I mean, there's tons of questions that nobody really asked about some of the criteria we've been flexible on to allow businesses still operate to make money. And so be it. No one's making you go dine out. You know what I'm saying? Now, if he says, if you got football, there can't be any fans, that would suck. But guess what? You know what I'm saying? Be flexible is what I'm saying, just like he was with the rest of the counties. I think that would be a fair thing to do because it's only 2 schools that we're talking about.
Yeah, but remember the restaurants that he has a vetted interest in the restaurants because they pay sales tax. So money comes back to the state, and so for the kids, there's no the amount of money that they generate doesn't really, especially if you're dealing with private schools. Catholic schools, they're not for profit anyway, so they don't get any. They pay no taxes anyway. So, here's what he said. He says, "I'm not willing to sacrifice people's lives or their health, neither the children nor their parents, who would be affected also. We're being careful about it, but I'm relying on doctors and researchers to give us the information. This isn't a political decision. I know that there are people who would like me simply to make a political decision to allow people to endanger themselves."
I think that's a very one-sided statement because you are being flexible about who you're allowing to operate and do business. You know what I mean? You're saying that businesses can be open, which, by the way, I don't have a problem with. You're saying that businesses can be open, and you've said, but you can't do this. It must be outside. You put these things in play. So my thing is, why can't it be the same way with other sports? Especially if, they have a testing protocol in place, stuff like that. Because here's the thing with businesses. There's not even a testing protocol in place, and you're letting people dine together.
That's true.
Technically, COVID could very easily be spread, even though a person's dining outside. I'm going to tell you what's not happening. They're not fully actually turning around and sanitizing all the tables and the chairs in the bathroom that people use when they are at their establishment. So hence,
tables in the bathroom or tables, bathroom. I don't know.
I'm listing things: tables, chairs, bathrooms.
Oh, okay.
Those things are not being sanitized in a way that would stop spreading COVID. I watch that kind of stuff. I'm like, so people are sitting down and then they eat and they leave and they kind of wipe the table down. But there's a process that's supposed to happen when you're truly sanitizing for COVID. It's not happening. So by you behaving like this is fixing it, it's not. But again, you don't have to go dine out either. You know what I mean? If it's your fear, you don't have to do it. So, I mean, I get his rationale behind it. We want to keep people safe. But I do believe there's possibly a safe way that we could still do these things. I don't think it's impossible to keep people safe, period. So, I don't know.
So
he's not gonna change his mind, though. I'm gonna tell you that. So he just won't be getting reelected, probably.
No, probably not. Definitely not.
Because a whole bunch of people are really salty with him. So whoever who's up next to run, you can get ready because people do not like his decision making. I've gotten it, but people are very in their feelings about it. So he probably will not get reelected.
Yeah, and it's both parties too. I mean, both parties. You have parents in there who are not happy with him. But put it this way, especially with this decision, okay? Because once it affects my baby, then if my baby can't play, his senior year or his junior year, then there's all hell to pay. So, but I see his point. I see both sides of it, but I see his point as well.
I do.
Again, if there's one kid who dies because of it, Are you willing to risk that one kid's life? Well, go tell his parents, hey, you know what? No worries, it costs doing business. You know, your kid had to be, you know what I mean?
But remember, the choice would ultimately be incumbent on the parents to opt in or opt out. That's what it comes down to. You could say sports will happen. These are the protocols put in place. Here's what schools are going to do. As parents, you have a choice to opt out. Then it becomes an issue because some parents will be like, no, you're not playing. And the kid's going to be pissed off and probably angry and at my job. But the opt-out piece would always be there if parents legitimately didn't think it was safe what the schools were doing. So that's the piece that, this is where the people get upset about the whole idea of the control of government versus the autonomy of the constituent, so to speak. People want this freedom to make the choice. Because let's ask a question. What if, no, not if, this is going to roll into next year. It's going to roll. It is. We're about to hit the cold and flu season. And from what we already know, based on what we're doing with the CDC, and saying we, because I work in the medical setting, is we already know that COVID has had its modifications. It's already morphed into something else. It's still COVID, but it's a little different than it was from the first strain. So now we know we're dealing with another COVID, so to speak. And mind you, they don't talk about that with people because they don't want them to know. But we already know that this is going to roll into next year. What's interesting about COVID as we see it now, the strain we're seeing now is not nearly as lethal as the first one that rolled out. Hence, you see how many people are asymptomatic that don't have anything? Some people don't even know they have it because there's no cough, no nothing, no temperature. They've just made the adjustment. And or what we don't know is they could have already had it and have it again. Because we don't even know if you can have it twice. Isn't that funny? There's a lot we don't know. So my thing is, if this rolls into next year, what are we going to do? Are we going to finally say we have to open things up and leave the decision to the people how they want to interact? You know what I mean? At some point, I kind of feel like you got to give people the choice, Shawn. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing.
So basically, wash yourselves the whole thing. We're going to open it up. Okay, there still could be some situations where there could be, but that's on you. Your kid doesn't have to die if you decide to not let him play.
At some point, I mean, we live in a society where we just keep trying to tell people what to do, and this is why they don't know what to do. I mean, I'll be honest. If they stuck with this and said, businesses can be open, businesses, your wait staff, whoever, always has to wear a mask. Businesses can still require that when we come into their establishments that we wear masks. You know what I mean? And you leave it at that. But there's going to be some places, like, it don't make no, people sitting in bars, first of all, people sitting in bars don't have masks on because it doesn't make any sense because either you're eating, you're drinking, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense, so to speak. So let people, here's the thing though, you never have to go sit in the bar if you don't want to. It's a choice. So let people make the choice at some point what they want to do, especially if this rolls much further. I'm not even sure when I can say I feel like we're going to be like in the clear. If it can match cold and flu season, great. But if not, at some point, I think we have to make a decision of let people decide what they want to do. Because we can't keep holding ourselves hostage because it's causing a lot of issues for people mental health wise. We've seen rises in suicide rates. Look, so people killing themselves versus people dying of COVID. What are we going to do? I was like, we just have to figure something out. And I think he's being a little too in the lines. I get why he's like this, but I think there's things that could be put in place that can still make it work. I do.
The IHSA announced Friday that it sent a letter to the governor asking for permission for the ISA to, quote, resume control over determining the resumption of IHSA sports and activities. However, the ISA did not say whether it supported a resumption of high school sports. So they just want to be able to control it. They didn't say they wanted to resume it. But what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing is that, again, as I mentioned, all the states that border Illinois are playing high school football.
Okay, but hold on. Now, think about what borders us. We're dealing with the
Wisconsin, Iowa,
Indiana,
Missouri, Indiana, Kentucky.
Okay.
Kentucky at the very bottom, southeast.
Now, I'm going to try to say this, but not insulting people in those other states. They're not the brightest bulb in the lamp because most of those states were very reluctant to do anything. So we knew they weren't going to push back. And by the way, all those states had flare-ups too. You know what I'm saying? They all had issues. When they decided to finally do it, they had a lot of issues. So here's the flip side to that. we still have travel bans. So if those states are having flare-up issues, and this is probably part of Pritzker's thinking, we might be controlling, because New York is doing a fantastic job, by the way.
Are they? Okay.
But yes, they're reinfect. Oh, it's amazing. Their numbers, like, because they got hit hard.
Yeah, they did.
So they get, okay, we gotta do this because they got hit. So I mean, it was bad. It was bad. I think they're less than 1%, and they're complying because of how hard they got hit. It was bad. But I think part of his concern is within the Big Ten are all those respective states that didn't comply. So if we have to travel to you, guess what? Well, that means that now we are increasing the possibility somebody could get COVID. So I mean, that's the part that's hard because your surrounding states they're just not as into it like Pritzker is. So I mean, I get, that's why I said there is technically, it makes sense what he's saying. But my thing is, I mean, and it's hard to create bubbles like with high schools, and it's impossible because here's the thing too. If your school is doing e-learning, it means they're convinced that they can't keep kids safe. So, okay. So if you're e-learning, then why can you play sports? You know what I'm saying? Because now you're contradicting what you're saying. So this is why I'm saying it's all screwed up anyway. Because if your school, like my district out here, they're doing e-learning. Unless private schools are the only ones that are actually physically in school. Out here in District 86, they're e-learning. So hence, there's no sports because you can't go play if you're not in school.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because actually Catholic schools are kind of reaping a little benefit because some people are like, screw this, I'll just put my kids in private school so they can go to school.
Yeah. So I don't have to take care of them.
I'll tell you what, that's a whole nother ball of wax right there.
Yes.
There's a whole I don't know. I'm not sure if each party is prepared for what they're about to deal with each other. I'm serious. I don't know. But so here's my thing. I respect Pritzker's decision. I do. I understand where the Big Ten is coming from. This is complicated. And I'll tell you what, people push things back towards spring. You better cross your fingers. We better be my thing is use this fall and winter time seriously to try to deal with this, because if we don't, guess what comes in spring? There may not be sports then either. But besides professional sports, if we don't get this under control, which by the way, there's no easy remedy to get this under control. Just want you to know that.
Pritzker says, quote, "We have the lowest positivity rate in the Midwest. Still too high. The states you were talking about all have very high positivity rates, double-digit positivity rates in most. Those are states, fine. If they decide to endanger children and families in those states by allowing certain contact sports to take place, that's their decision. It's not good. It's not something that is good for the families and the children of Illinois," unquote.
Well, then I might say, excuse you, I have no family and no children. So now you're impeding on me wanting to do what I want to do for me because I don't have family and children. So there's some people who feel like that. We are split down the middle about this. I mean, people are like, I'm tired of this. It's interesting because people are like, let's just do the herd immunity. They're like, and if you happen to die, okay, well, somebody's got to die. People feel like that. Well, you got to die sometimes. The things I hear people saying, it makes me, it's not funny. I was like, because people have lost people. And if you were one of those people, you wouldn't feel that way. So, I mean, it's complicated. You know what? COVID has brought out the worst in everything. I swear to God, it has. But at the same time, it's also brought out some good things as well, believe it or not. There's been some silver linings to this a little bit, but we have too many other things going on that's presenting a problem. You know what I mean? Compounding the issue.
I think what COVID does, and I think it is any adverse situation does, it reveals your true character.
It sure does.
You find out who are the brats, who are the entitled, who are the, you know what I mean? You get to find out who the nasty people really, really are, and they don't hide it. You know, they think it's their privilege. You know, you see the privilege in this, like, you're suing for future for future wages, the future income. Like, okay, so my question would be this, and there's just playing devil's advocate, just being a jagbag as well. So what if they say, okay, fine, and your son plays, and you're with one of the family, and your son gets COVID and dies.
You'll feel different.
All of a sudden, what about your future? You know what I mean? And there's no, and that's the thing. Like that lawsuit, that there's no, you can't guarantee that he's going to have that money.
You know
who's
what?
Gonna say he's not going to get crippled? Who's going to say he's not going to have an injury? Who's going to say his knee's not going? Who's going to say he's not going to have a Johnny Knox injury where he gets backed up or his spine, something, he breaks his neck? Who's to say that? Football is a collision sport. That can happen to anybody on any play. So for you to why do you think the contracts in the NFL aren't guaranteed? Because that can happen to anybody. So for them to sue shows their privilege and saying, well, they're assuming that their child is already going to the next level when no, you're not sure if they're going to go to the next level. You're not, because injury can take its toll at any. And you know what? Injury in that case, there's no prejudice at all when it comes to injury. It just takes whoever
or
whenever
disease.
Wants.
And the other thing, and this is how things function in our country, because we are now we want accountability until something goes wrong. And let's just say something happens, kids get COVID and they die. And actually, the sad part about this is statistically more people recover from COVID than they die. But they always push the dying number. But if you look at the numbers tell you more people recover. But if you let people if you let people think like that, they're going to be more reckless than they already are. Like, well, guess what? More people are alive than dead. Somebody's going to die, because people think like that. But
they'll show you the actual number. The actual number is a high number, but the percentage is small, really minute.
It's minute. But for us within this country, we've never seen, since the Spanish flu, we haven't seen anything to this level where this many people have died or been infected by anything. This is why it's such a step back, wow, because within our lifetime, we've never seen it this way. And I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for social media and the news, we could all be functioning differently. But the minute you give people instant information all the time, they process it, they consume it, and they internalize it. And this is why we got problems. People have more anxiety. I was like, stop internalizing things. Stop. Sometimes you need to turn the news off. I tell people this. Sometimes you need to stop checking social media, because you get too much information. It creates anxiety. And all of a sudden you get all these wild thoughts going. But this is the society we live in. But my point is that if you let parents make the decision to let their children play, you would also have to have a legal, to me, liability piece to it. Because if their child died, the first thing they would come back and say, it was incumbent upon leadership to not allow this to happen. You should have insisted that these kids not play, because we live in a society like that. So they would throw it right back at you if their kid died and said it was your fault for not putting your foot down and saying no one will play. Because this is where we're at, because people like to blame people for their choices, especially when they're the wrong choices. Well, you know what? You got to take ownership, whether it's good or it's bad. You got to take ownership of it. But we don't live in a society where people do that. They only want the good. They don't want the bad.
And I see, and I understand the issues, with postponing it, but man, when there are kids' lives on the line, I'm not going to waver. Call me a jerk, call me old fashioned, call me whatever you want. I'm not going to waver, okay? Because one kid that dies from this is one kid too many, okay? Because here's my thought, okay? People are saying, well, it ruins my son's chance or my daughter's chance or whatever. Mostly son, because we're talking football. My son's chance is college scholarship. Okay, and if you're a white kid, I understand there's a lot of minority scholarships. Okay, there are still millions and millions of dollars out there that goes unused every single year.
Yes.
Of scholarships. And I used to tell my football players this. I used to tell my students this. I'm like, if my girl Jaquita from the West Side could come out with $2 million in scholarships, what is she doing that you can't? What is she doing? She's giving a damn is what it is. Okay, because they always show one black girl on the West Side or on the South Side
who found 20 scholarships, right?
Yeah, and what all it does all it takes is you sitting your ass at a computer
and looking
for them. Okay. We had to do it the old way. I had before I got the offer from Holy Cross. I had some scholarships. We had to go through a book. We had to go through a whole book and see which ones fit me. Okay, we couldn't search and put parameters and filters in for which ones. Okay, and I had almost $3,000 from different schools. If people can do that, who are especially girls or kids coming from lower income situations, why can't all these other kids? Because of privilege and because they don't want to. So if your son doesn't get a football scholarship, guess what? He can get more than enough money to pay for all 4 years. And then he can just go walk on the team at that particular point if that's the school you want to go to. But they don't want to do that because it's not sexy. Because then you can't say, my son got a scholarship to go to Michigan. My son got a scholarship to go to Notre Dame. You can't say that.
Okay, but here's the other thing too, that if your kid, let's just say everyone's going to take COVID into consideration in recruiting. Trust me, universities know there's schools that aren't playing. If your kid was legitimately good, they were probably already on the radar. You know what I'm saying? We're not, because the people who start talking like that, I'm like, well, guess what? Your kid wasn't up here. And people get mad about that, but it's true. Colleges already are eyeballing like by your junior, you know what I'm saying? See, but before your senior year, they know they're interested in you because they've been watching you live. Freshman's offer, it's the names, because now there's so much highlights and information about these athletes. So trust me, they've already been looking at you well before your senior year. So if you're not playing, they're not going to say, well, I don't think you're any good anymore because you're not playing. The circumstances have changed the game for everybody involved. So it doesn't mean that those scholarships still won't be there for those students who technically were going to be good enough to get them. It's going to happen. It's just going to look really different than it's ever looked. And you're right. And then there's everybody's kid's not going to college on a scholarship for athletics. Everyone's not, even if they played in high school. I mean, maybe you might go to a D2 school, whatever. But people refuse to accept the fact that if your kid was really that good, they've already been selected, looked at, wanted.
There is still that small piece. Like I know, because I would have fallen into that category where there was a guy who was bigger, stronger than me, especially in my position. So he played and I didn't. And then my senior year is when I really came out.
So
there's a small faction of kids, but you know what? That's life.
That's what I'm. You know what?
Here's the thing: is if you fall into that category, then here's what you have to do. And if you don't get the offers or anything that you want, then you need to go to a school that you want to go to, that you think you can play at, and you need to walk on, and you need to show them that you're able to play. Okay, because this is called handling a situation. There are certain things, especially in football, and this is what bugs me. You know, we talk about, especially parents and coaches, they talk about you control what you can control. Okay, and right now you can't control whether or not you've been recruited or you're on anyone's radar. What you can control is right now is getting yourself in the best shape, getting yourself scholarships, getting yourself ready if you are not noticed. And then when you get the opportunity to get noticed, when they are looking at you, then you show out.
Here's a question. So obviously from an academic school standpoint, the state can shut you down. But from private club standpoints, it seems like they can't shut you down. Right. So what I think is interesting is I'm sure AAU is still thriving because they can still play basketball. So I don't know. I mean, there's Pop Warner. So my thing is that maybe if people, this is my thing, for the people who really want their kids to play, I think you should take your kids' safety at heart. And if you're only thinking about their future career, not their life, that is reflective of your parenting. But I'm not judging, though I already did. So with that being said, I'll be curious. Well, I mean, come on. But I'd be curious if there's been a spike in like travel, clubs and things like that. Because they're not
the exposure, they can get
because they're not sanctioned, which means if you really want your kids to play, and they can still put some safety precautions in place. Technically, they can. I'll be curious if there's a spike. Maybe I'll have to touch base with somebody who does anything like with Mr. Irvin. I'll have to call you.
Yeah, is he the only people in AAU?
He might know one or two people. Just to kind of get a take on kind of if there's been an increase in participation. And a lot of those types of clubs. Before we actually in the show, I want to make a notation. So tonight is Sports 101 with Jamar Harp. This is going to be a really good episode called Moving On Up, and it's talking about taking your game.
Georgia Weezy?
Kind of like Georgia Weezy, taking your game beyond the playing field, and you're seeing more of a transition with athletes buying teams, and they're still athletes. Like you saw, Travis Kelce is partnering with J-Lo and A-Rod. Patrick Mahomes bought stake, but also you're having more athletes getting involved in agencies, becoming sports agents. And he's going to have on the first woman-only sports agency called Ladies First. Mrs. Jordan's going to come on to talk about her agency and how she grew it. But she's doing stuff like doing internships with high school students that they want to be into sports agency and all this interesting stuff. It's going to be a really good show. So make sure you check it out, because I guarantee you someone's like, I need to call her because my daughter's interested in this. And it's talking about all those professional opportunities that exist to like play abroad and stuff, and how a lot of people leave college and have no idea, you know what I mean, what they're leaving on the table. So her agency is really unique. It's called Ladies First, but she does also now have an area where she works with men as well. So make sure you tune in at 8 p.m. tonight. It's going to be a good stuff.
8 p.m. Central.
Yes,
we got followers worldwide, Maya.
That's right.
Worldwide.
Yeah, you're right. So 8 p.m. Central. Make sure you tune into Sports 101 with Jamar Hart. Moving on up. It's going to be a really good episode.
Wow, I can't wait. I'm definitely going to check it out. We want to thank our guest today, Joseph Phillips, who comes on 9 to 10, our first hour. I want to thank Casey Boguslaw for coming on, talking a little baseball with us. I want to thank our technical producer, Elliot Baez. I want to thank our social media guy, Clarence Council. I want to thank our guy behind the man behind the curtain, him, the one and only, the Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife himself, Ivan Vargas. All you guys were very instrumental in making this another wonderful show. But man, 3 hours is come and gone, and we got to go. So for my Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife, Ivan Vargas.
I really love this. honestly, whoever did it, you took time and you made sure it was perfect.
I got it. Someone's like, "Can you really post that?" I'm going to post it on Facebook. If you need that,
I sent it to Vernon via Messenger.
Okay, good. That's quality stuff.
Yeah, it is. And then my lovely co-host, Maya Kai.
Au revoir, mon amis. Tout à l'heure.
Guys, I'm your boy, the Superback, Shawn Sierra. We're going to take a 45-hour break, and we will see you on Friday. It'll be the weekend, baby. So enjoy the next couple of days. We'll see you then. We got a couple phrases for you. Download the app. 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 Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. We out.